Nobody's ever seen a white rhino, so it doesn't matter.
Well, people have seen them.
No, nobody's ever seen, like, a dinosaur, but we still, revere dinosaurs, so we'd still revere the white rhino, even if there weren't any white rhinos, so it doesn't really matter if the white rhino dies.
Calling all emos, computer programmers and blokes called Malcolm who still live with their mum.
Crikey, there must be more to life than this.
It's the revolutionary virtual human interface you can access without ever leaving your bedroom.
And what were you up to the other night? That's what I'd like to know.
How cool is that?
Enjoy yourself. It's later than you think. The Two Mikes, Parry and Graham on Talk Sport.
Look at the light!
Anna Yilta Oha Vendetta. Can't you understand me?
No. This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes, and I'm delighted to say, coming to the end of yet another week of glorious entertainment, here is Mr. Mike Porky Parry. Very good morning to you, Mr. Parry.
Yeah, good morning, Mike. Thanks very much indeed. Glorious entertainment.
Yeah, I think so.
And what are you describing there?
The football.
The football.
The football.
Oh, I thought you were talking about yourself and the glorious entertainment.
No. You know me. Listen,
listeners.
I'm not the kind of person that blows my own trumpet.
You don't blow your own trumpet.
I'll leave that for you to do.
No, okay, all right.
I mean, there's enough trumpet blowing going on here by the person sitting opposite me.
Do you not think that our show is gloriously entertaining?
Well, I'd like to
if
think
you're
so.
not, you shouldn't be working on
Well,
it,
I'd like
frankly.
to think so, but it's not really for me to say, is it?
Well, I think it is for you to say. If you
I don't
haven't
think
got
so.
any self-confidence in what you do...
I have plenty of self-confidence.
If you don't believe in your own ability...
I do believe in my own
ability.
ability.
That you're a sort of, a lard-arsed kind of...
I beg your pardon?
I was going to say numbskull,
Yeah.
but of course I nearly got diverted into your favourite word, numpty.
Numpty, yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it certainly would be incredible if I was not full of self-confidence, because if I was in fact lacking in self-confidence, I would be a mere shell of a man, given the amount of criticism I take from you.
Well,
I'd sit here and think, actually, maybe Porky's right. Maybe I am a four-eyed, fat-faced fool.
Well,
maybe I do have no talent.
You should.
Maybe he is the man that brings everything to the party.
I don't actually say that, do I?
Luckily,
Well,
you do.
Yeah.
You say it every night. Luckily,
Yeah.
I am full of myself, so these barbs have no effect on me.
All I would say is that a person's self-image rights, if you see what I mean, what you think about yourself, affects the way you sound to other people.
Yes.
And so if you don't feel good about yourself, and let's face it, standing in front of a mirror, it would be very hard for you to feel good about yourself.
That depends, you see.
That could affect the way that you portray yourself.
No, there are times when I stand in front...
broadcast yourself to other people.
There are times when I stand in front of the mirror and just go, you know what, actually, you don't look too bad.
No, you don't, do you?
I do.
How much have you had to drink when that particular episode of your day takes place?
But, I mean, I have to say it's normally when I'm clothed rather than if I'm not clothed.
Well,
I dress well, I wear expensive clothes, I have nice shirts, I have nice suits.
Too repulsive to think about you being unclothed.
I'll tell you what, I saw a great interview last night with Ronaldo. He's been doing a few interviews about this and the other. And it was on the BBC, funnily enough. And he said, when this guy said to him, could you ever envisage a time when you played for Manchester City?
Yeah.
When they offer the right amount of money. And he was brilliant. He just looked at this guy straight in the eye and he went, you think the money is important to me? I mean, this is a guy who makes $500,000 a week.
Yes, exactly.
And he says, if I wanted money, I would go and play in Qatar.
Yeah.
He says it is never for the money. It is always for the passion.
Yes, that's right. And he did very well indeed. And he's also talking
What
big.
a great guy. I really like Ronaldo.
Yeah, I like him. And do you know why I like him? His command of English is almost... I mean, it's better than a lot of English footballers in the Premier League. And that's no disrespect to English footballers.
Quite.
But do you remember once he was asked after the game, why do you think sometimes you have trouble with other players and sometimes with officials? He said, because Ronaldo is polemic. And the guy interviewing him didn't know what polemic meant.
Yeah.
It was obvious. And the guy interviewing him, who's just a sort of reporter for a local TV station, said, polemic, I like polemic, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I think he's brilliant. But he was talking this week also about being a single parent and how he believes that he can bring the influences of mother and a father to his young son, who's now 4, I think.
I think he must be,
and he says he doesn't need a mother. Don't worry about it. I can do it myself.
Well, he can do it himself because he's so wealthy that he can surround the child with all manner of slaves and, nannies.
Well, I
and all the
suppose
rest
you
of it.
could, but I think every child needs the love of a mother, doesn't it?
I would have thought so. I mean, it's not like living in, a council estate as a father of, a single father bringing up a child. I mean,
and having to go to work as an ambulance driver and then come home and all that kind of stuff.
He's got one or two advantages in that
well,
area.
he certainly has, yeah. He also he has to compartmentalise his life, doesn't he?
Yeah.
Because on the one hand, he's got to be a doting father to his son.
Yeah.
On the other hand, he's got to be a brilliantly fit and athletic world star footballer, probably the best footballer in the world.
I think so.
But then you read stories about how he likes to rest in the summer by going to his villa, up in the hills there, in somewhere in Spain, obviously. And according to one report I read, it's only an allegation, he then invites his mates round and he hires an aeroplane in Moscow and flies in 40 hookers for the pleasure of the boys.
That's quite an allegation.
It's an allegation I read in a newspaper. I have no idea whether there's any truth in it or anything like that. And the young ladies prepare the cocktails and all that kind of stuff.
There's something different from what a lot of clubs do in this country and in various other countries where they just hire people to come to a party. There's nothing wrong with that.
Well, hang on. I don't remember the last time I went to a party where somebody said, "Oh, don't worry, the 40 ladies of leisure from Moscow will be here any minute now. They're just
that's not what I'm saying.
Just touching down at Gatwick."
That's not what I'm saying.
No.
I'm saying that when you organise a party, you sometimes invite various glamorous-looking women to come and hang around.
Right.
That's what they do.
Are you saying?
All I'm saying is I'm trying to water down your suggestion.
Are you saying these ladies are professional escorts?
Well, they could be, but I mean, what they are is.
Have you ever been to one of these parties?
No, of course I haven't.
Well, how do you know about them?
Because I know about lots of things that I haven't done. I know if you dive into the middle of a volcano, it's not a very good idea without having done it.
Yes, but you don't often see a live
You don't see what I'm trying to do here, do you?
What?
You don't see what I'm trying to do here, do you?
What are you trying to do?
I'm trying to help you out.
Trying to help me out?
Yeah.
Well, why are you trying to help me out?
I'm trying to specify what it may be that these girls have been doing.
I said it was an allegation I'd read.
That
I
doesn't
didn't
make
say
any
there's
difference.
any truth in it or anything like that.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Well, that's fine. We'll just repeat a load of untrue allegations.
No. What I'm saying is I very much doubt whether young Ronaldo gets involved in that sort of thing.
I'm sure he doesn't.
Millionaire footballers
Why would he have to?
Sometimes do. It's as simple as that.
Okay. Well, thanks for tarnishing his image after I built him up into what a great guy he is.
I'm not tarnishing his image at all.
Shocking.
I think he's a fine example of a young man who takes his parental responsibilities very seriously, and in fact far more seriously than you do.
Yeah. Something else that's good about him, right? He doesn't have any tattoos, and you'll like this.
Doesn't have any tattoos.
Do you know why
that?
he doesn't have any tattoos?
Because he feels it would desecrate the magnificent body.
Not true.
What?
He wants to give blood, and you can't give blood if you've got a tattoo. So one of the reasons that he hasn't got any is that he continues to give blood. Isn't that amazing?
Can you not give blood at all, even if they take the blood from an area of your body that's not tattooed?
What?
You know what I said?
What do you think they take blood from an area of your body that's got a tattoo or not got a tattoo? What difference would that make?
Well, because if you stuck a needle into an arm that was tattooed, then there is danger of infection from the ink that makes up the tattoo.
No.
If, however, you select a part of the body where there is no tattoo and stick a needle in, I can't see that could be terribly
They're not worried about
dangerous.
they're not worried about the surface where the needle goes in. They're worried about what the tattooing may have done to your blood. That's why they don't let you give any blood. It's got nothing to do with the actual tattoo on the surface of the skin. Yeah.
You know
have you ever given
things,
blood?
really. Sorry?
Have you ever given blood?
Have I ever given blood? Well,
I'll take that as a no.
No, I've given a lot of blood, which has been analysed over the years. I have my blood test
have you given blood, to other people?
No, I wouldn't want to do that. Well, because
man of the people.
No. But I haven't led the cleanest of lives when it comes to things like consumption of alcohol and that kind of stuff.
That's okay.
And therefore, I don't believe my blood can be the purest blood in the world.
Do you think you're telling me that you think you drunk so much alcohol that your blood's been contaminated?
Well, I don't believe that my liver works at 100-100. You know, if you've got perfect vision, you've got 20-20 vision, but still you're walking around blind. Yeah. Well, I reckon I've got a liver that probably works at a little bit less than 100% efficiency.
Is there any part of you that works at 100%?
Well, only a third of my heart works, as you know.
Yeah, I know.
For the rest of it, pretty healthy, really, because I have the blood tests all the time, and they can check anything in a blood test. Your kidneys,
well, why don't you ask
them
next time, is it possible for me to give blood to other people? And then you can do something good for someone.
I wouldn't really want to do that.
Why not?
I don't know.
When you want to help somebody who needs blood?
When I die...
That's a shocking thing
When
to
I
say.
die, by the way, I'm not filling in one of these donor cards and leaving my eyes to people.
Nobody
you might
wants
need
your
your
eyes
eyes in the next life.
What?
You know? You might
Well,
need...
when you go to heaven?
Well, you might. I mean, the point is, what physical form do you see yourself in the next world?
I don't see the next world. There is no next world. It's this world, and then that's your lot.
Because you see, if we really do believe in heaven, as the Vikings,
well, you do. I don't.
Hang on, as the Vikings believed in Valhalla.
Yeah.
Then in Valhalla, what they did is, in their own bodily form, they went out fighting all day, smashed each other's skulls in, chopped each other's arms off, got drowned when they fell off the longboats and all that.
Yeah.
But by 6 o'clock in the evening, everybody came back to life again, and they all went in the tavern and got absolutely lassoed and started wenching.
That'd be lovely for you, wouldn't it?
And
You'd
eating.
love that.
Yeah, until about 2 or 3 in the morning when they passed out.
Right.
And the next morning, they woke up and they went fighting each other again and then smashed each other's
Sure,
skulls.
it sounds more like hell, doesn't it?
No.
Valhalla.
They enjoy it. No, they enjoy it. The Vikings enjoy
Yeah,
it.
but do the same thing day after day after day would be like hell to me.
No, it wouldn't. It would only be like when we were kids, when we were 10 or 11, you went out and played football all day and you came in when your mum said your tea's ready and then you went out again and played football all day. That's all it's like.
Yeah.
That's what it's like to the Vikings.
Yeah.
To the Vikings...
What a simpleton you are.
No,
You really are a simpleton, aren't you?
No, I can
seen the time,
interpret
by the way?
life better than you.
Have you seen
To the
the time?
Vikings, battling and fighting and wenching and whoring and drinking all day is like 12-year-old kids playing football all day on the
Really?
the village green.
Yeah, that doesn't happen either. This is Talk Sport. I don't know what's gone wrong with Mike Parry's brain. We'll find out coming up next.
On DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
A terrific performance.
Turn of pace and eye for goal.
Shout about it.
Talk Sport.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. There will, of course, be the Porky Quiz coming up on Guy Fawkes Night. Technically not Guy Fawkes Night anymore, but are we playing that because of that Cadbury's ad? That's,
No.
do you remember the gorilla playing the drums?
Oh, yes, that's right. The orangutan, wasn't it?
I think it was a gorilla.
Gorilla, was it? Yeah, it was a gin advert, wasn't it?
No, it was a Cadbury's chocolate ad.
No, wasn't it? It was Gordon's gin.
No, I'm sure it was Cadbury's.
No, it was a green bottle of gin. I remember it very well indeed.
No, I think you're
No,
wrong.
the reason we're playing that is because Phil Collins, who, you know, has an outstanding record as a musician over the years.
A lot of people don't like him, though.
Well, hang on. I'm about to tell you. He announced he was retiring a few years back. You know, he said that his hands had gone, he had arthritis, his back had gone, he couldn't sit on a I was going to say a bar stool then for a minute, a drum kit stool. You know what I mean? And he have to give it up. Anyway, he's announced in the last couple of weeks. He did a big interview in the Daily Telegraph, in which it seeped out. In which he said, "I'm thinking of making a comeback."
Yeah.
And since that happened, a load of websites have cropped up saying, "Phil Collins, don't come back."
Yeah, so that's very unfair.
Which is very harsh,
I
considering he had
think-
a very, very successful career.
Well, he did, and also, I mean, I watched. There was a great, BBC 4 does these great musical documentaries about various bands and whatever, and they did one on Genesis and how Genesis back in the very, very early days was this kind of art rock band with Peter Gabriel
How
there.
many people were in it?
Well, there was Peter Gabriel, there was Mike Rutherford.
He says there were 5 in this interview.
There was Phil Collins, who was the drummer.
Yeah.
And there were 2 other guys.
Phil Collins was the drummer and the singer, wasn't he?
No. At the beginning, Peter Gabriel was the singer.
I thought Phil Collins was.
Well, no, he became the singer.
Became the
If
singer.
you wait and listen to the story instead of jumping
go
all
on.
over me.
Yeah,
right?
go on.
Let's
Yeah.
talk some football in a minute, by the way. I don't know why you want to keep
I want to talk about Remy Gard.
Yeah, we do want to
Sounds
talk
like
about
a typical Frenchman.
Well, you don't like him by the sounds of it.
Oh, no, I don't dislike him, but he sounds like a typical Frenchman. Anyway,
Well, he
go
is
on.
French. What's wrong with that?
Well, the platitudes are all the same.
No,
yeah,
okay.
go on. Yeah.
All right, we'll go to about Arsene Wenger's fashion sense in a bit as well.
That's amazing. He looks like a skinhead.
No, I know. We'll come back to that.
Yeah.
Now, basically what happened was Peter Gabriel got fed up with the band's success. He wasn't quite sure they wanted to go in the right
What, you
direction
mean
for him.
the pressure of success crushed his head and all that?
Well, it did, yeah. I mean, because they became very successful very quickly, but there was
Well, I
very
know
sort of
these
art
things
house.
feel, yeah.
Yeah, I know, exactly. It's a very art house kind of band, and they used to go and play like...
It was a what? An art house?
Sort of art house band, yeah.
What does art house
Well,
mean?
it wasn't. They weren't a pop group, right? They were playing. They made one album, I think, that just had 2 songs on it, and the whole side of the
What
one
were the
album
songs called?
was I can't remember.
What was the album called,
The Lamb
then?
Lies Down on Broadway was one of the albums that they did, right? And they went to this big tour of America.
It's no wonder I never took to this group. They
And it
sound
was
like a right bunch of sycophants.
Sycophants.
Yeah.
Yeah, but they would. I mean, lots of. I mean, they appealed very much to young men. They didn't appeal to women at all. It was all very kind of geeky type stuff,
it?
right? But it was very good. And Peter
yeah, okay.
Gabriel then just couldn't handle it anymore. And I think there was quite a lot of weed being smoked at the time,
Yes.
if nothing else.
Yes.
And it was then that they decided they had to find a new singer. And this whole documentary goes on about how they looked and tried all these different people. And in the end, Phil Collins said, "Well, how about if I sing?"
Well, do you know what?
And they
That's
all went,
amazing.
And they all went, "What?" What do you mean? What are you going to sing? Well, you play the drums.
Yeah.
And eventually they gave it a try and they actually quite liked it and they thought everybody else we've tried isn't as good as Phil Collins.
That's excellent.
So let's make him the singer.
I've got a story about that, you know.
Have you?
Yeah, in the early days of Talk Sport, I discovered Brazil.
Oh, yeah.
I thought this man is...
Well, not the country.
No, not the country, no. Although there's a little difference in size. Oh, I'm sorry, Al, he didn't say that.
He's not going to forget that, I'm afraid.
No.
Somebody's about to tell him.
It's only a joke.
Yeah.
And we tried to find all sorts of people to accompany him as a sort of partner on a breakfast show and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
In the end, I did exactly what Phil Collins did.
Yeah.
So I'll try it myself.
Right.
And guess what? It worked.
Yeah, but the difference between you and Phil Collins was you were in charge, so you could make yourself his co-presenter.
Yeah, I suppose
so the
so,
typical Porky Parry manoeuvre.
That's right,
You
yeah.
know, it was
That's
that guy that was it a politician or somebody that did that?
Who? What?
Who said, we're going to cast around, we're going to decide. No, was it not one of the editors? Somebody who, we're going to cast around to see who's the next great young thing or whatever it was. And so ended up giving the job to himself.
Where was this?
I can't remember.
In a
if it
newspaper?
I think it was either in a newspaper or.
I don't know what you're talking about.
There was. Yeah, I'll remember.
Anyway, it doesn't matter. The point is that what I was looking at today on the old websites, on my information machine, I came across this. Phil Collins must be stopped, and it's a website which is campaign gathering pace to force Phil Collins back into retirement after he announced last week plans to go on tour and release an album. An online petition has begun.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, on change.org, demanding that the United Nations steps in and bans the 64-year-old who hasn't released any music since 2002.
I mean, imagine how he must feel.
Yeah.
I mean, he's written some. I mean, you might not like the sugary nature of some of his songs, and some of the Genesis stuff was a bit, commercial, but incredibly successful.
Well, the first time he came to my attention was when he staggered onto the stage on top of the Pops wearing black glasses and started singing, "I Need Love." Right?
That wasn't even his song, was it?
No, it was Diana Ross.
Yeah.
It was Diana Ross's song.
The Motown
or the Supreme song, right?
Yeah.
And then I thought it was quite interesting. So I foolishly went out and bought one of his albums or something like that. And there was
surely you went and bought his greatest hits, didn't you?
No, I don't think he had any greatest hits.
Yeah, he has.
No, he'd become a solo artist,
Yeah.
So I went and bought something. I don't know what it was. But there was a great track on it. It's the only Phil Collins song I really like.
Yeah.
And it was called That's All.
Yeah, that's a Genesis song.
Oh, is that a Genesis song? Yeah. And it goes about
So it must
something
have
like...
been a greatest hits album then, because there's no Phil Collins album that's got That's All on it, unless it's a greatest hits album.
No, I've never bought a Genesis album. I must have bought a Phil Collins greatest hits, and they must have included that, I think, But I mean, here, I'm reading a bit here. He had one of the sort of problems that you and I and people in our profession sometimes have, Mike.
Oh, yeah.
He said... retirement doesn't sound like it's been much fun anyway to Phil Collins. This is the guy who interviewed him in the Telegraph, right?
Right.
And then Phil Collins says, in quotes, "I felt I was owed the right to sit on a sofa and watch television because I'd never done that in my life," says the 64-year-old.
Oh, yeah.
"But I started to drink." I was a bit miserable, but I was also enjoying the drink. But I hurt myself with drinking. My health suffered, so I had to cut that out.
Right.
I haven't had a drink now in 3 years. But
Yeah.
I mean, you had a drink in 3 years, mate. It's no wonder you're not feeling very well.
Well, no wonder he wants to come back and start singing.
Yeah, he wants to come back and start singing, so he'll have to start drinking again, in
I
my
wish
view.
Phil Collins well, not least because whenever I see somebody being put upon by others and somebody being sort of, bullied for one reason or another, I always tend to think I want to stand up for them.
Oh, you're so honourable, aren't you?
I am honourable.
Hey?
Unlike you. See, your favourite thing to do is to join in.
Noblesse oblige or something.
Noblesse oblige.
Noblesse oblige.
Yeah,
that's
your
it,
favourite thing to do is to just join in and start giving anybody a kicking that you can do.
Utter rubbish. I stand up for the little guy.
No, really? When was
always
the
have
last
done.
time you stood up for the little guy? You don't want to give anybody blood. You don't want to help anybody out who's got a flat tyre. You laugh in the face of misfortune of others and think it's hilarious.
Yeah, and by the way, I love what the Chinese are doing. Like, what about
What
this?
are they doing?
The Chinese are building a new city,
right?
But it's being built specifically and only for billionaires. Nobody else is allowed in.
Oh, a bit like Jersey.
No, seriously. Chinese billionaires have abandoned any pretense of egalitarianism by building a new city inhabited by only the rich and noble-minded.
Why don't you go and live there? You'd love it there.
Yeah, Blue CJ is a £25 billion smart city, and the dream of Yan Ye, who's 55, and he's building it near Hong Kong, and he says only people of equivalent wealth to me are allowed in.
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
You would love that, wouldn't you? Just to only be surrounded by wealthy people.
Well,
because you think wealthy people are better than poor people, don't you?
Look,
yes, you do.
That is not true.
Yes, you do.
I feel more comfortable in the company of
the rich.
Yes.
Why? Why is that?
Because
you think the poor are filthy.
No,
yes, you do.
No. That's a terrible thing to say.
Filthy, down and out, as you refer to them.
No, I think what it is, it's a sense of self-achievement. If you're standing on the balcony,
what if you just inherited it?
If you're standing on the
What if you've just inherited it?
I don't mind inherited wealth. I think it's good.
Well, how have they achieved it?
Well, they've managed to hang on to it and all this kind of stuff. You know,
right. Well,
and
that's
also,
a tough job, isn't it?
Also,
here's a couple of million, darling. See if you can hang on to it, not waste it all on heroin and gambling.
If somebody has inherited wealth, and they choose to mix it in my circles, they've made a good decision. Because, of course,
it's unlikely, though, isn't it?
What?
It's unlikely, though. They look down on you.
I'm the boy who came from nothing, who had aspirations, and
you've still got nothing.
My favourite motto as a child was reach for the stars, because even if you only get halfway there, you're going to be a pretty elevated person in life, okay?
What sort of child has a motto? How weird are you?
What do you mean?
I never had a motto when I was a child.
Oh, didn't you?
No.
Well, you never had any aspirations. That's why you've ended up as the bum you are today.
What about
You are a shabby bum,
what
actually.
About per ardua?
You're a shabby, long-haired bum.
What about per ardua ad astra?
What's that?
You don't know what that is?
No.
Have you never heard that before?
No.
It used to be my father's motto, actually.
Oh, well, your father was a crazy old Scotsman who went around bombing Canada during the Second World War.
Per ardua ad astra. You never heard of that?
No.
It's the RAF motto.
Oh, what is it?
Through hardship to the stars.
Through hardship to the stars. Quite like that one. Yeah, that's pretty good. Particularly if it's the motto of an institution as revered as the RAF.
Indeed.
Even though the present British government is trying to eradicate them.
Well, they're trying to make them operate without any planes.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, this is Talk Sport. We're going to talk some football coming up next. We haven't managed to get Porky onto the subject of football. Steve Nicol is joining us. We'll find out from him if he likes what Jurgen Klopp is doing as well. Kloppo. This is Talk Sport.
Whether they're first past the post at Cheltenham or in off the post at the Berlin ground, whether they're scrumming down at Twickenham or throwing arrows at the O2, whether they're teeing off at Augusta or stopping for tea at Old Trafford, get closer to the action with all the latest form and odds from Betway's betting expert every weekend on the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Saturday and Sunday mornings from 7 on Talk Sport with Betway. Get closer to the action with Betway.
An exhilarating drive is a given in the new BMW 320d ED+. But if you drive a company car, you might ask, what else is a given? First, there's exceptional fuel consumption from BMW Efficient Dynamics. Then there are CO2 emissions as low as 99 grams per kilometre, so you pay less benefit-in-kind tax. And there's more. BMW Business Navigation is now included as standard. Thrilling on the road, outstanding at the fuel pump. Request a test drive at your local BMW centre. Figures may vary depending on driving style and conditions.
Find more hiding spaces. Asda's big brand toy sale is now on. Over 100 toys, including Frozen, Barbie, Avengers and Lego, are now up to half price. Because it's Christmas. Asda. Save money, live better. Higher prices charged in a minimum of 59 stores. Selected stores and availability.
The following offer applies to new Mercedes-Benz SUVs ordered between the 2nd and the 8th of November 2015. 3 years free servicing is based on 3 services over 36 months. No cash alternative. When you buy a brand new Mercedes-Benz SUV, your first 3 years of servicing are taken care of for free. So, while you're on your 3 camping trips, your dozens of takeaway pickups,
they forgot the poppadoms,
or your hundreds of school runs.
Daddy, why is that cow climbing on his friend?
You can rest assured that your Mercedes-Benz SUV will be running like it's brand new, for no extra cost. Visit our SUV event at your local retailer from the 2nd to the 8th of November. Unmissable offers from Mercedes-Benz.
Talk Sport.
And it's in!
A diving header at the end of a 50-yard run.
From the root to the tip.
Talk Sport.
Madness, they call it madness.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. We've got loads to do. It's the Porky Quiz on Guy Fawkes tonight as well, of course. Bonfire night took place last night. There was all those idiots staggering about wearing masks in the middle of London. Fortunately, not too many people got arrested.
Anarchists.
Not too many police managed to get themselves
injured. A lot of anarchists around these days.
There are a lot of anarchists. Now, a lot of people are pointing out to you, but particularly, that you're wrong about that ad with the gorilla. Duncan in Leicester says, Porky, you numpty, it was Cadbury's, because the gorilla in question is at Cadbury's World. I saw it earlier this year.
Yeah, but
loads of people have sent in video snapshots of the Cadbury's
all right.
gorilla.
Well, all those smarty pants out there, will you please send me a snapshot of the advert that involved a gorilla or an orangutan and a bottle of Gordon's gin? Because there was one.
Really?
There was definitely one.
I think you must be hallucinating.
I tell you what, I've just remembered.
Yeah, go on.
It was a drum kit, but it wasn't a gorilla, it was an old Japanese chap, wasn't it? No, don't you remember? It was.
That's easy to confuse the two, obviously.
No, I don't mean that. I'm ridiculous. What I'm saying is,
What the hell are you talking about?
There was an old Oriental chap sitting behind a set of drums, bashing away, and that was the gin advert. I'm sure I'm right.
Are you sure you weren't in some bodega?
Listeners, please.
You sure you weren't in some bodega somewhere in Eastern Europe?
No.
Let's talk to Steve Nicola and get some sensible conversation about Liverpool. Steve, very good morning to you.
Hey boys, how are you?
Yeah, hi Steve.
Very well.
I don't know what you're laughing at, Steve. I'm trying to get, my ducks in a row.
I'm laughing that you've got to convince people you're right about something.
Well, that's right, absolutely.
Yeah, it's never been known before. Now, you might say that you must have been right about Brendan Rodgers. Things seem to be looking up at Liverpool under Monsieur Klopp. What do you make of his start so far?
I don't think we could have asked for too much more than what he's done so far. He's certainly got the desire back in the team. The players look as though they can't wait to step on the field. And they've got fire in their belly, and they're getting results. I mean, that's what it's all about. But certainly the way they're getting results, I think, is the most important thing. You know, the way they went about Chelsea, got after them, didn't sit back. I think that's a great sign for the future.
Yeah. Now, what Jurgen Klopp is saying after this great victory in Europe, they won 1-0 at Rubin Kazan, first away victory in Europe since December 2012, Steve, and he's really singing the praises of the young lad who gave them the goal, young Ibe. He says this boy's got a huge future in football. Do you agree with that?
I don't think you should disagree with that one bit. I mean, you look at the goal. It had, to begin with, he's got pace. He's running away from defenders. His control was great. His composure with the finish. You know, he's put it exactly where he wanted to. He's positive as well. You know, he's a kid that's using all the abilities that he has, and he can only get better. And the more he plays, the more he hones his talent. I think, without a shadow of a doubt, this is a kid who, in the next few years, can be a big part of Liverpool.
So do you think, Steve, that an awful lot of what Klopp is getting from these players is simply what he's got them to do for themselves? What he hasn't really changed much about the setup of the team. He hasn't changed an awful lot about the tactics, really, has he? He's just given them something.
I think the one thing that he has given them is positionally. When you go and close the ball down the way that he has them closing it, it means the whole team has to do it. You know, you can't have 2 or 3 guys doing it, because if it goes wrong, then all of a sudden the opposition's at you. I think from the front to the middle to the back, positionally, teams can't get out. Listen, it was Rubin Kazan, and let's be honest, they're struggling in the league they're in. But again, you go back to Chelsea. Chelsea, for me, at times couldn't get out because defensively, he's got them in such good positions behind the ball that even if they get that far, somebody's there to win it. Somebody's there to make a challenge. Somebody's there to shove the ball to where the rest of the players are. It's smart play, and the players are obviously responding.
Yeah,
indeed. Now, moving further afield here, Steve, new manager at Aston Villa, but they're rooted to the bottom of the Premier League. They've only got 4 points.
I haven't finished talking about Liverpool yet.
Sorry?
I hadn't finished talking about Liverpool yet.
You want to talk about Liverpool? See, what more do you want to talk about?
I wanted to ask him about... There's one question I want to ask him, right? Because looking at the top of the Premier League now, people have written Liverpool off as getting into the top 4 this year.
Right.
Do you think it's still possible, Steve?
Absolutely, no question.
Is that your question, Mike?
I think the key is the key is the front two. You know, the key is Benteke has to stay fit, and if they can get Sturridge into some sort of condition where he can play as well, then I think that's the icing on the cake. I mean, again today, Rubin Kazan, they had so much possession and so much of the ball, they didn't quite create as many chances as you would hope with the amount of possession. But I think, again, the key is getting the 2 front guys on the field week in and week out, and that'll make a huge difference to the team and the results, and that's why they'll get to the top 4.
Top 4, eh? Oh, Mike Graham thought it was a vital...
You heard it here first.
Yeah, Mike Graham thought it was a vital question to ask you, Steve, you know. No, it's not a vital question at all. It's a ridiculous question.
Well, they'll get in the top 4 faster than Everton will.
No,
Everton won't be in the top 4.
It's the question that's unanswerable at this stage of the season. Anyway, getting back to...
He's just answered it.
Getting back to real football issues, Steve, which I know you like to expand your mind on. New manager at Aston Villa. They've only got 4 points, rooted to the bottom of the Premier League. They're going to go down, aren't they? Doesn't matter who manages them now, does it, when a team's in that sort of position?
you know, there's...
I didn't know you were...
thing.
That's the Man United dog barking about Aston Villa.
There's one thing, when you're a coach, I don't care how good you are, how smart you are, how tactically aware you are, how great you are at motivating your players. If you don't have players that are capable of doing the things you want them to do, then it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. Obviously, you expect an initial reaction. But the fact is, particularly defensively, Aston Villa don't have players capable of stopping any opposition in the Premier League.
Exactly.
That's just a fact.
Yeah, no, that I totally agree, and I can't understand where they're going. It's like their owner doesn't want to own them, so they put in a new expensive French manager because it looks exotic. Oh, look, we've got a French manager. We must be mean business, but they're going nowhere. I totally agree with you.
Well, I don't know. I mean,
they have the last couple of years they've had this transfer policy where they're buying older players who are past their best and expecting them to stop young, aggressive, world-class centre-forwards that other teams have. It's not possible. With all due respect to both Lescott and Richards, they're past their prime, and you're asking them to try and close down people like Aguero and stay with them. They don't have the sharpness in the legs in the penalty box where Aguero steals half a yard and the ball's in the back of the net.
Yes.
You know, you can't expect to get, you know, New York strip out of mincemeat.
No. I totally agree with you.
Right. But I mean, of course, Randy Lerner said when he hired Remy Gard that they'd recruited aggressively in the summer and hired all these young kids and they think they're going to be able to form into something. But I don't see any sign of that, do you?
Well, it almost
I'm not
seems...
asking you, I'm asking Steve.
Yeah, but I'm assisting Steve in the direction of your question, which is difficult to understand. What I'm saying
there's nothing wrong with getting young, hungry players with desire who have some ability but are not quite there yet. The problem is when you don't have anybody on the field of play beside them to teach them and to guide them and to coax them along, because when they get rid of Delph and they get rid of Benteke, they're left with a bunch of guys who are not leaders. So you can stick young guys in, but young guys will play fantastic 1 out of 3 games. 1 out of 3 games isn't enough in the Premier League.
No, I totally agree. I think the question Mike Graham was trying to put to you, Steve, but he's not too good with his words, you know, was did Aston Villa go and hire a load of young French players first and then decide they needed a French manager to make them play? Is that right, Mike?
No. I don't care what language you speak or where you come from.
Yeah.
Football. I spoke earlier about Klopp. Klopp's German.
Yes, he speaks
Liverpool
very good English.
How many Germans have got of Liverpool got? It's about putting players in positions where they can do best.
Sure. No,
and show what they're actually capable of. But if you're putting players in a position where they don't have enough experience to actually produce what they're capable of, then that's when the trouble starts.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, one final question before we let Steve go. What do you make of what's going on with Jose Mourinho and Chelsea? And are you one of those who thinks he'll still be there end of the season and no matter how badly he does, he's never going to get fired at this moment?
I've always felt that if the players stop listening to the coach, then you're done.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't seem like the players are listening to the coach, and if they're not, then it's pretty pointless the coach being there, whoever he is, whether it's Mourinho or anybody else.
Well, John Terry says they're listening to him, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but the players are going, listen, if you stick a microphone in front of a player and ask him about the coach, what are they going to say? They're not going to kill him. They're going to say all the right things, particularly John Terry, and probably John Terry's one of those guys, because there won't be everybody's not listening, but John Terry's obviously one of those guys that has history with Mourinho, trusts Mourinho, and will do anything Mourinho says. Problem is, you need 11 guys of the same ilk. And it seems pretty clear that not everybody's toeing the line as far as the starting 11, and they're just jumping from one mess to another.
Yeah,
you're absolutely right. I totally agree with you there, Steve.
And how's the book coming along with your mate Mark Donaldson? Because we're talking to him a bit later on.
It's coming along fine, yeah. We'll just we're dotting the I's.
Are you going to be giving any big secrets away?
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, we can't have an exclusive.
My style. It's not my style.
Well, you know,
I'm honest. It'll be an honest book. That's what it'll be.
Yeah, we want an honest book, Steve. But we're not having you on this show again unless we get an exclusive on, the big revelations. Who were the troublemakers in that dressing room? That's what we need to know. All right, Steve.
Hey,
thanks.
listen.
Yeah, go on,
You
mate.
don't have to call me if you don't want. I can go back and watch Narcos on Netflix. I'm all right.
Hey, listen, you're always welcome on this show, particularly when you're telling us the revelations. Absolutely.
Excellent, mate.
Thanks,
Cheers,
Steve.
Nicol. You can always watch the Cleveland Browns and Cincinnati Bengals as well, which has just kicked off over there in Cincinnati. 7-0 to the Bengals at the moment. So they just scored a touchdown. So we'll keep you updated on the NFL, as we do on this show, with all the good stuff that's going on. What are you looking at me like that for?
Well, because you keep people in touch with the NFL.
People like it.
And all I see when you start talking NFL are millions of our listeners all over the world with this collective yawning sound and their hands sort of just edging towards the off button on their radio.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah.
I hope you've done some research on Guy Fawkes, by the way. Because
Guido.
I've just seen the questions.
Yes.
Yeah. Quite difficult, I'd say.
Yeah, it's going to be explosive.
This is Talk Sport.
Don't phone your mother. Phone Talk Sport.
Football on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Atletico Radio.
Talk Sport.
Eagerly pursuing all the latest fads and trends, 'cause he's a dedicated follower of fashion. Oh yes he is. Oh yes he is. Oh yes he is. He thinks he is a flower to be looked at, and when he pulls his...
This is Talk Sport. We are the two Mikes. Of course, there'll be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. And it's the Porky Quiz tonight, I should say.
Yes.
Now, let me listen to this from Andy, which is a little bit of a sort of a sop to you, I have to say. I don't really normally like to read these out.
Okay.
But he says this: Mr. Parry, your talents are wasted on the night shift.
Thank you.
Any employer should be able to identify such a knowledgeable artist belongs on prime time.
Thank you.
You would never get that Adrian bloke contributing to topical scientific subjects like moths. Then he says, anyway, I would value your opinion and thoughts on Grimsby retrying to enter the Football League this season.
Yes.
Many thanks, Andy in Cleethorpes.
Do you know what? I've got a Grimsby programme, or at least I did have before I lost my programme collection, but I used to cherish...
Isn't that where the road from Kingston upon Hull goes over the bridge to
over
Grimsby?
the bridge, yeah.
And you said it went nowhere.
The road to nowhere, yeah. But Grimsby used to be the biggest fishing port in this country. And, somebody in my youth, when I was about 7 or 8, I went to Chester to a home game, and somebody had been to Grimsby to see Chester play there the week before, and they gave me the programme.
Right.
And it was one of my most cherished, because it was the only football programme I ever had, which was in black and white. I don't know why, but they
Black and
produced
white?
it. Yeah, in black and white, yeah. But and that,
well, it's cheaper for a start.
Well, it gave me the impression that Grimsby was a bit of a black, dark place, you know, which it was.
They play in black and white, though.
Playing black and white, they do. But it was full of hundreds of fishing boats and very little else, Grimsby, apparently.
Right.
But anyway, listen.
Well, now, of course, as we've been told before, it's one of the biggest super container ports in Europe.
Is it?
Yes, that was what when the guy was telling us that, you say there's no point going to Grimsby because it's just a fishing town. Yeah. It's actually got one of the biggest sea container ports.
I don't
lorries
think
are going. Yes, it has.
No, that's Felixstowe. You get mixed up with Felixstowe.
No, it's Grimsby.
Where my other pad is at Orwell Quay.
No, the one I've never seen.
Sorry,
the one I've never seen.
Well, I've never invited you there.
What goes on there? Is it just lying empty?
No.
Well, there's someone in there.
I go there occasionally.
You never go there.
I do.
When was the last time you were there?
What's it got to do with you?
Well, because I'm worried about,
You think you sort of monitor my movements or something?
Well, it might have squatters in it.
No, it hasn't got squatters in it.
It'd be great if it did.
No, I know the state of play there and everything. Don't worry about that.
Now, how about this from Kloppite, who says there was a Gordon's advert with a boar. I can see how Porky got it confused with a gorilla. Remember that?
Boar and a gorilla.
With a wild boar.
Yeah, very easy to confuse.
Yeah.
Now, listen, the reason we played that music, our man behind the glass...
Dedicated follower of fashion.
Yeah, is because Arsene Wenger he's done a piece with a French magazine who got him to talk about fashion and try on a load of really weird clothes. Now, when we saw old Kloppo coming out of the Anfield...
Have you decided to call him Kloppo now? Is that what you're going to call him?
When we saw him coming up the steps from the dressing rooms at Anfield, what you call it, the tunnel.
Yeah.
And he had
tunnel.
What?
What do you call it? The tunnel.
Yeah, the tunnel.
I thought you were going to call it have a special name for the tunnel.
No, the tunnel.
Just the tunnel.
And do you remember he had those jeans on with rather broad turn-ups at the bottom? So they're either quite fashionable or quite silly.
Yeah.
But so anyway, what we've got here is we've got Arsene Wenger doing this fashion, and the one that they've picked out and used on the back of one of tomorrow's red top tabloids.
Yeah.
I think he looks ridiculous. Looks to me like they've taken Arsene Wenger's head and they photoshopped it onto the body of a sort of 1980s skinhead.
Yeah.
In a
he looks as if he's wearing a pair of bother boots, doesn't he?
Bother boots, jeans that are too short, but with a huge white turn-up on the bottom, a long Crombie overcoat, which is not black, but it's grey.
With a sort of wool collar.
With a wool collar and a jumper, and he looks absolutely bizarre.
It doesn't look right, does it?
It doesn't look right at all.
I mean, far be it for us to be fashion icons or whatever, but I remember once being told by a woman, if you're over 40, right, you should not wear a leather jacket and you should not wear blue jeans.
I've got 2 leather jackets.
Well, you would look ridiculous.
No, I don't. No, I look very, very smart in them. One of them is a bomber jacket.
No, you shouldn't. I mean, honestly, you're too old to wear a leather jacket.
Bomber. One of them's a bomber, and the other
too
one
old to wear a
is a very elegant 3/4 length leather jacket.
What do you mean, like a coat?
Yeah, like a coat, yeah.
Well, it comes down to, like, just above the knee or something?
No, it comes to just below the derriere.
So it's a coat, though.
Yeah, that's right, a coat. Yes, coat. Yeah, it's a coat. Yeah.
Well, maybe you might be able to get away with a coat, but a leather jacket, absolutely no.
Yeah,
and you wouldn't wear blue jeans at your age, would you? Have you got blue jeans?
I've got stone-washed blue jeans, which I like.
Why?
Well, because they look good on me.
When do you wear them?
I haven't worn them for about a long time.
Yeah. You shouldn't wear those.
But I'm not. Yeah, well,
you should definitely not wear those.
I think they look all right. Anyway, listen, let me tell you this.
Arsene Wenger doesn't look good in this outfit.
Arsene Wenger has claimed he brings out the beauty in men.
What?
Right, talking to a French magazine, and it's the philosophical Arsenal boss dug deep in a sit-down with L'Equipe.
L'Equipe?
L'Equipe.
L'Equipe, isn't that a sports newspaper?
It's a sport and style magazine.
Is it?
It's a very famous one.
I thought it was a sports newspaper.
No, L'Equipe.
L'Equipe.
Sport and Style. Well, I think it's the Sport and Style mag of L'Equipe.
Maybe they have a Saturday magazine.
That's it. Yeah. Now let me see.
Good luck to them for getting him to dress up like that. I think he looks daft.
So Wenger's been used as the cover model. He's denied that he is a godlike figure at the Emirates. yeah.
That's the kind of question you deny, isn't it? Are you a godlike figure at Talk Sport? No, absolutely not. Nothing can be further from the truth.
He said, I'm only a guide. This is a bit philosophical, isn't it? I'm only a guide. I allow others to express what they have.
Overall.
I've not created anything. I'm a facilitator of beauty in a man.
Wow.
This is getting a bit heavy.
I think that's just the French, isn't it, really?
Yeah, I define myself as an optimist. My constant battle in this job is to bring out the beauty in man.
Yeah.
You could call me naive. At the same time, it allows me to believe in that and more often it proves me right.
Yeah.
So there you go. Do you know he's 66?
Presumably that was before the 5-1 slaughtering that they got at the hands of Bayern Munich.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, how about this from Jerry? He says, Porky, my friend, you were thinking of the Dunlop advert tested for the unexpected with the Velvet Underground song. Are you thinking about that?
What, was there a gorilla on drums?
No, there was no gorilla on drums except for in the Cadbury's ad. You said that there was some kind of a monkey or something involved in a gin advert.
No, I didn't. Sorry, I corrected that and said an Oriental gentleman of a certain age was on the drums and he bashed away at the drums and in the end he kicked the drums over, Moon style.
Here's a picture of the ball that was in a gin ad. Is it that?
No,
thinking of that?
No, I've never seen that ad, actually.
Really?
Not sure if that happened in this country. Anyway, look, talking more about football, I want to talk about Rémi Garde. Okay?
Yes, Rémi Garde, yeah.
Because Rémi Garde, it seems to me, has been hired as a French manager because they've got so many French players. That's not a very good idea.
Although he's already banned French from the dressing room, isn't he?
Oh, he said we're all going to speak English. Yeah, he said that.
Well, you would be in favour of that normally, wouldn't you?
Yeah, now it says here, he swept into Villa Park as boss for the first time yesterday, revealed Randy Lerner's love swept him right off his feet.
Really?
There's a lot of love going round amongst these Frenchmen, isn't there?
Funnily enough, Randy Lerner used to own the Cleveland Browns, who are currently playing against the Cincinnati Bengals. It's now 7-7.
Is that crikey?
You see, I give you unbelievable amounts of information.
No, that's an absolutely average fact, which I have no wish to know.
Okay.
Now then, Frenchman Garde, who's only 49, spurned serious advances from Newcastle in January, rejecting their offer to replace Alan Pardew. But again, Newcastle have
French players.
A clutch of French players, absolutely.
Well, I mean, I suppose if you're the owner, you would say, if we've got all these French players, it can't do any harm to have a Frenchman managing them, because maybe he gets more out of them.
And Garde confessed the love he felt from Villa owner Lerner when the pair met for the first time, knocked him for 6. Hang on, we've got Rémi Garde here talking about the love from Randy Lerner. We've got Arsene Wenger talking about, I bring out the beauty in men. What's going on here? The French taking over the romantic...
Are you suggesting that the macho world of football has somehow been infiltrated?
Well, I'm saying that we're looking at it from a different slant. Now,
something Gallic.
Now, you've been to France on the Eurostar, haven't you?
Actually, I haven't, no.
Haven't you?
I've never been on the Eurostar.
Okay.
I wanted to take my daughter there a few years back because I thought it'd be a nice little day trip. I thought we'll go pop over to Paris for lunch, pop back.
So at the moment, it gets interrupted so badly by people running on the track.
The thing that I couldn't believe was how expensive it was. It was about they wanted about 350 quid if you went there and back in the same day. I mean, if there are cheaper ways to go.
Class?
No, just a regular.
Really?
Just regular class.
I've never paid for it myself. I've only gone when people have put me on it. Now,
put you on it.
You know, like
what do you mean?
Working. You know, going
working. When have you been working on the Eurostar?
En France?
Yeah. Well, what, you mean for the Rugby World Cup?
Thank you very much. Yeah. Well, I was the correspondent.
Did you go with Dave on the train?
Who?
Dave.
My mate, Mr. Campese.
That's right, yeah.
No, he came from a different direction.
Did he?
He lives in South Africa.
Yeah.
Now, what I was going to say is, the entrance...
So, what sort of state were you in when you got to Paris?
What do you mean?
I know it's quite a quick journey, but, I mean, presumably you were in the old bar car.
Yeah, it's not all that quick, actually, because you go from here, obviously, to...
You do about 25 miles an hour to Ashford, right?
No, you go from here to the coast, don't you? And then you go underground to France.
Yeah.
But then, what's lovely is whipping through the French countryside down into Paris, you know what I mean? Which is rather special.
It's about 3 hours or something, isn't it?
Yeah, that's right. And you sit in the bar car, I agree, and drink some lovely French wine, all that sort of thing. Talk to some, lovely French ladies, use a bit of French to...
Well, they've got French hookers on the train.
What do you say that for? Why do you have to be so basic, eh? In everything
well, you're the one who
do.
introduced the idea.
No, I didn't. No. And
bringing out the beauty in the men.
I use my knowledge of French to.
That must have got you for a long way.
Invite the lady. Yeah.
Encore de vin,
no,
monsieur.
No. I says, Mademoiselle. Vous allez une tasse de thé?
You go a cup of tea.
Well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
No. Voulez-vous de tasse de thé?
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, voulez-vous de tasse de thé?
Do you want a cup of
yeah.
tea?
Ou le vin blanco. Or le vin rouge.
You'd have more charges crawling around on the floor as if they feel sorry for you.
That's a bit harsh, isn't it?
This is the unique go-kart feeling of a turbocharged Mini Cooper 3-door hatch. And this is how it feels knowing that you got it for just £189 a month plus initial rental. Book a test drive at your nearest mini centre or mini.co.uk/turbo. 48-month hire agreement from Mini Financial Services, £2,399 initial rental. Subject to status, guarantees may be required. Available for new vehicles ordered by 31st of December and registered by 31st of March. Participating retailers only. Mileage and other conditions apply when you return the vehicle. Visit mini.co.uk/turbo.
Those generous folks at Paddy Power just can't stop giving. Seeing as Jose's having a hard time, they're not even going to talk about Eva Carnero being knocked out of the League Cup, the loss of the dressing room, defeats to City, Palace, Everton, Southampton, West Ham or Liverpool, the refereeing decisions, the FA fines. They won't talk about any of it. But the generosity doesn't stop there. For all 4 televised Premier League matches this weekend, bet £20 pre-match and get a free £10 in-play bet. Paddy Power, you're welcome. Excludes in-shop bets. Qualifying bet must be placed at odds of 1-2 or greater. Free bets must be used in featured match. Stake not included in winnings. T&Cs apply. 18+. Gambleware.co.uk.
The following offer applies to new Mercedes-Benz SUVs ordered between the 2nd and the 8th of November 2015. 3 years free servicing is based on 3 services over 36 months. No cash alternative. When you buy a brand new Mercedes-Benz SUV, your first 3 years of servicing are taken care of for free. So, while you're on your 3 camping trips, your dozens of takeaway pickups,
They forgot the poppadoms.
or your hundreds of school runs,
Daddy, why is that cow climbing on his friend?
you can rest assured that your Mercedes-Benz SUV will be running like it's brand new. For no extra cost, visit our SUV event at your local retailer from the 2nd to the 8th of November. Unmissable offers from Mercedes-Benz.
This is Talk Sport. We are the Two Mikes. You can tweet us at the Two Mikes, of course, at Mike Parry, at IROMG. You can text us on 81089 as well. Bill says Porky in the billionaire-only Chinese city, his alter ego would be Hong King Plank.
Hong King
I had to
Plank.
read that a couple of times to make sure it wasn't rude.
Yes, exactly.
Joshua says
Yes.
MG has seen the questions already, question mark. Porky, be careful and keep a very close eye.
Yes, he must have seen the questions already.
Well, they've come in a bit early tonight, that's all.
Oh, so you have seen them?
I say I'd seen them, but you
so
didn't hear
you've
me
had the
saying it.
opportunity to decide whether they're too hard or too easy, haven't you?
Well, no, I just had
In fact, you never
had a quick glance at them, and they look quite difficult. That's
You
all.
never rule that they're too hard. You love them to be hard. You like them to... By the way, why are all these people in London marching around setting fire to police cars?
Because they've got nothing better to do. They're called anti-capitalists, right? But don't worry, because they enjoy all the fruits of the capitalist system under which they live.
Yeah, exactly.
Where they don't get to work, but they get free money.
Yeah, no, it's quite amazing, isn't it? And do you know the amazing thing is that when we have an election in this country, we assume that people will accord by the outcome of that democratically voted-in government.
Well, they do unless they're anarchists, of course.
Yeah, but what the anarchists do is, and the problem is, with the new leader of the opposition, who can be associated, Mr Corbyn, can be associated with protest groups, and has been associated with some protest groups which sometimes have got out of hand, right?
Yes.
And the problem is, what they seem to be doing to me, this is only my own personal view, is that instead of trying to build a force to win an election, they seem to be trying to convince everybody elections aren't necessary.
Yeah, right.
And what is necessary is the way that people feel on the streets.
That's right, and only they are right, of course. And
exactly.
They can't brook any kind of opposition. And they'd like to kick anybody out of the Labour Party as well, who don't agree with them.
No, I totally agree. When I arrived at TalkSport Towers tonight, there was a deafening noise as I got out of the Merc, and it was the police helicopter hovering overhead. Because, of course, very close to here, they were rioting this afternoon, setting fire to police cars and all that kind of stuff. That's the sort of thing we don't like in this country.
The only thing that was a bit unfortunate was the rain stopped, because I was totally hoping it was absolutely going to be bucketing down
pouring
with
down
rain.
this afternoon.
And then that way they wouldn't actually be quite so sure about demonstrating.
You're absolutely
right. A couple more tweets
you expect
for you here.
It in France. You expect, all the French farmers go around setting fire to everything, but you don't expect it in this country.
I know. If you're giving the NFL score, says Bob, how about an update on the NBA game between the Bulls and the Thunder?
Oh, yeah, what's the update on that one?
I don't know. I haven't got that one to hand.
Oh, what a pity. Never mind. Well, we can't bore a few more million listeners to death.
Well, you must have heard of
the
the Chicago Bulls, Michael Jordan's team. I mean, they were one of the most magnificent teams back in the sort of 80s and 90s. They were the dominant team.
You've
heard of Michael Jordan?
Yeah, Michael Jordan, yeah.
Have you never heard of Michael Jordan?
Yeah, of course I have. He's, isn't he, didn't his brother once own Crystal Palace, Simon Jordan?
No, I don't think so.
I think he did,
No, I don't think they're related.
I think Simon Jordan owned Crystal Palace.
He did, but I don't think they're related.
Oh, OK, fine, yeah.
Big gambler as well, Michael Jordan. He used to play golf for millions of dollars.
Is that right? Yeah, that's very interesting.
Fascinating guy.
Yeah.
Now, here's one from Mark. He says, I doubt Porky will pass this test with flying colours. And then he says, Guy Fawkes, fireworks, get it.
Flying colours, I know what you mean. Yeah, colours in the sky, fireworks.
And then here's one from Tom. He says, do keep us up to date with NFL scores, MD. Because Everton don't play American football, he thinks it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, I'm sorry, but I mean, I've got my finger on the button, and my finger on the button tells me that it is of minimal interest. Now, I tell you what I want to talk to you about. I want to talk to you about a situation which has arisen lately about whether or not parenting skills in this country are good enough.
Parenting skills in general or mine?
Skills in general. Well, yours in particular, of course, because you're a parent. Now, for instance...
Hey, by the way, people were very impressed with my maths quiz score last night, because I got 4 out of 5, basically.
Rubbish.
They said it's more than you get normally out of 10.
Yeah,
you were really absolutely crestfallen there, weren't you, when I got so many of the questions right?
Well, it was so easy. I mean, I answered them all, so I don't know why you had a problem. Now, what I want to say to you is this. Have you seen the picture in the paper this week of Romeo Beckham, who is now a fully fledged model for Burberry?
No. But you did mention that he was doing ads for Burberry.
I'm going to show you one. Look at that. Right.
Very good. Handsome-looking young man.
Handsome-looking young man.
Yeah.
He should be. He's the son of David Beckham and Victoria.
Yeah.
What's her first name? Victoria...
Hey?
What was her
Beckham.
name? Victoria... No, Beckham, Victoria... What was her...
Wasn't it Adams?
Victoria Adams, Posh Spice. You're absolutely right.
I mean, nobody's remembered what her first
But you see that he's still got, gammy teeth. You see what I mean? Like kids have.
No,
he has. Look to the right.
He's got lovely teeth.
Look to the right of the picture.
Well, he's got lovely teeth.
No, he's got a wonky tooth, which kids of his age have.
Well, slightly.
How old is he? 12, 13, something like that? Yeah. So I'm not knocking it. What I'm saying is...
behind the front teeth, he's got sort of back teeth that haven't grown out quite so
Exactly,
much.
that's what I'm saying.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong with it. I'm
Why
saying
are you picking holes in that?
I'm not picking holes. I'm saying it's part of his youthful attraction, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But he's wearing a Burberry Mac as though he was 21 years of age and a Burberry scarf.
He looks very good at it, though.
I think he looks very good indeed. But what I'm saying is...
Have you ever owned a Burberry?
What?
Have you ever owned a Burberry?
No, I bought a Burberry bag for my sister when she had a...
I remember you left it on a train or something.
Left it on the train. Cost 150 quid.
But you've never owned a Burberry coat? I'm surprised at that. It's the sort of thing you would wear.
I think they're a bit chavvy now, aren't they?
Well, I
only chavs wear Burberry.
That's
now,
not true. No, chavs wear fake Burberry.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Burberry coats are very expensive.
Okay, well, look, what I'm saying is, I mean, he looks great, I have to say, but the problem I've got with this is that I always think of people like, for instance, who was the kid in Home Alone?
Macaulay Culkin.
Macaulay Culkin. Now, his life as an adult...
He doesn't look dissimilar, actually, to Macaulay Culkin, does he?
No, maybe.
There's something there. There's
but what I'm saying is, Macaulay Culkin's life as an adult has been absolutely decimated by his life as a child, as a child star.
Yeah.
I mean, did you ever go to, when we were in the States, did you ever go to a Macaulay Culkin photo shoot?
No.
all that used to happen was the kid used to come out and he looked as cute as he did on screen, and he used to sit there, put his chin in his hands, look fed up. I mean, deliberately, you know, because this was part of the act. Yeah. And then roll his eyes around.
And this would be like to promo the new film or something.
To promo the new film.
What were you doing there?
Hey?
What were you doing there?
Well, I was the bureau chief of the Daily Express at the time.
You weren't
London
taking
Daily
pictures,
Express.
though, were you?
No, I went along to meet Macaulay Culkin.
All right.
I had a chat with him.
And did you have a chat with him?
Of course.
And what did he say?
Not much, because he was chatting to me and about...
What did you ask him?
Like 12 other people. But I asked him... I think I asked him what his ambitions were when he grew up and all this kind of stuff. You know what I mean? You know, sensible questions, not kid-like questions.
Well, a bit like when you saw Will Ferrell.
Mark Wahlberg. Yeah, well, I didn't know who he was.
Had you seen the film at least? Did you at least bother to go to the screening before you talked to him?
I think I had. I think I had seen it. Yeah, seriously. No, but what I'm saying is, do you not fear that if your child became famous and in the public eye at a very tender age, and I can't find out how old young Romeo is. I think he's about 12 or something.
I imagine so.
Yeah.
Well, certainly, actually, all of my kids...
it might affect his adolescence and therefore affect his adulthood.
All of my kids have been very photogenic, right?
Yes.
Fortunately, because they've taken after both myself and their rather attractive-looking mothers.
Oh, I thought that would be a downer.
No, I was a very attractive child as well.
Rubbish. You were not an attractive child, Mike. No, you were not.
You didn't know me when I was a child.
Well, I knew you when you were a young man, and you weren't attractive then.
I was very attractive in my 20s,
no, you
and
weren't.
even in my 30s.
No,
but anyway,
you've got a very prominent chin.
That's a side issue. You're just jealous of my chin because you cover yours up with hair because you've got a weak chin.
You've got a very
Everyone
prominent
with a beard has a weak chin.
Which makes you look bulbous and a bit like a walrus.
No, not at all. My point is this, that we had several conversations about, whether you wanted to put the kids in for sort of, modelling and stuff like that, because some people had suggested it, because we used to know a lot of photographers, and they said, your kids are really good looking, why don't you put them in for some modelling shoots? And I went, being a kid is hard enough in this day and age, and I actually said, no, I don't want my kids involved in anything like that.
So you wouldn't do what the Beckhams have done?
Well, I mean, it's different for the Beckhams. The Beckhams are in the public eye. The Beckhams Beckham's kids are bound to be photographed no matter what.
Yeah.
So if I was the Beckhams, I'd say, well, you know what, we might as well make some money out of this, considering that, might as well give the kids...
Why would you want to make money out of it when they've got a fortune of 250 million quid anyway?
Give the kids a career. If they like it, great. If they don't like it, but I wouldn't foist it upon any of my children because I just don't think they would thank me for it.
Do you know what? I think you've got to think of the long game. You know, when...
Well, we could have banked a load of money and, because you can do quite well, but you've got to go to auditions. I mean, it's a real cutthroat world.
Oh, I agree. And you've got to think of the long game because when the Western powers invaded Libya, Iraq, for instance, nobody thought of the long game.
Right.
And that's why the Middle East is now ablaze and in chaos and there's an inferno and there are, literally millions of...
and now there's loads of stranded Brits in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And poor unfortunate people streaming across the world trying to find somewhere safe to live. That's all down to the fact that we didn't look for the long game.
Yeah.
And in terms of your child... What is the long game if a kid becomes famous and suddenly loses perspective of life when he's 12 or 13? I don't know.
I mean, I think it may have been different for Macaulay Culkin because perhaps his parents weren't like the Beckhams. But I mean, if you look upon, them as a very, the world's most famous couple, perhaps.
Yes.
The kid is going to have to learn to deal with the limelight anyway. So it may be better for him to be actually in it. And also, if you're the Beckhams and you say, look, our son would like to be at the front of the queue for your Burberry advert,
that's right.
They're not going to make him do an audition, are they?
No,
they're just going to go, great, thanks very much indeed.
You see, I'm amazed because I'd previously seen another of the Beckham lads in advert, and that was Brooklyn, because he's the oldest one, isn't he? He's been in adverts as well.
And he's now more likely to be playing football, I think, isn't he?
That's right, yeah, but they're going to be a family of models, this lot.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing I was going to ask you
I don't think there's anything wrong with it for them. For me, it wasn't the right thing.
Now, what I was going to say is here, 4 in 10 children have never seen a hedgehog. Have your boys seen a hedgehog?
Yes.
How do you know?
I know because, look at the time, by the way. I'll tell you in a minute.
I was looking at the time.
Yeah. Well, you can't ask me another question at this time.
Well, I'll tell you what, we'll pick up on that in a sec.
I'll give you the answer. Well, I've already given you the answer, but I'll tell you exactly where they saw it.
Good.
And what we did with it as well.
Good. Have they seen frog spawn?
I can't answer that.
Why?
Because it's too late. No time. This is Talk Sport.
You're pathetic.
Sunday afternoon from 1:30. Exclusive national radio commentary of Villa versus Manchester City. Barclays Premier League live on Talk Sport.
This funny little hedgehog comes running down the aisle. I don't have to tell you what it did sing. For you know all the words and you sing all the notes, but you never quite learned the songs you sung. I can tell by the sadness in your eyes that you never quite learned the song.
You ever heard of the Incredible String Band?
Yes, I have, definitely. They were out in the late 60s.
This is the Incredible String Band.
And do you know who they were inspired by?
Who were they inspired by?
Ravi Shankar.
Ravi Shankar.
Ravi Shankar.
Yeah.
And Ravi Shankar was the man who taught George Harrison how to play the sitar.
Oh, right, okay.
So it was all a great Indian thing. What they used to do is the Incredible String Band, they used to sit around on their cross-legged on stage without any chairs or anything like that, and all play like these sitars and these weird like mandolins and all that kind of stuff.
Weird mandolins?
Yeah.
Excellent. Look at that for a cover. That's pretty psychedelic, isn't it?
Pretty psychedelic. Why are we playing their song?
Because it was a Hedgehog song, that.
Oh, it was a Hedgehog song. Okay, yeah, well, this is great.
I'll tell you how I know that my kids have seen a hedgehog. Because in the house previous to the one that I have now, down in Sussex, there was one night I was outside, I think I was having a cigarette possibly, in the garden, and I heard this kind of, this very small noise. I couldn't quite work out what it was, and I turned round, and back, sure enough, behind me, there was a hedgehog.
Wow.
And he was just walking sort of very, very gingerly through the garden.
Yes.
So I got up very carefully and went and got the kids and said, come and see, because I knew they'd never seen a hedgehog.
Right.
You very rarely see one.
Yeah.
And I used to see them in Hampstead quite a bit, because there was a lot of hedges.
Right,
where
okay.
I lived, and you sometimes see them like literally walking along the top of a wall.
Yeah.
And he was lovely, and he sat there for a while, and we put some ham out for him.
Oh, really? Did he eat it?
No.
Oh, right, okay.
I don't know
Milk?
if that was the right thing.
They eat milk, I think.
I think they drink milk.
Yeah,
I think so, yeah. Well, we decided to put ham out for him, but it turned out some slugs then got to the ham.
I see.
So he didn't eat that. But and frog spawn, funnily enough, my older kids, we went on a holiday once to America, and somehow there had been, I can't remember what happened with why there was frog spawn, but there was frog spawn, and it was collected and put into a sort of a bucket by the stream in the garden. And when they came back from holiday, there was all sorts of tadpoles and frogs leaping about.
Really?
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Very exciting.
Have they ever seen a peacock?
A peacock, yeah.
See the peacock?
Yeah, there's loads of places you can go around the country where peacocks wander free.
Right, okay.
There's a place in Edinburgh, there's a hotel in Edinburgh, actually, the name of which escapes me for the moment, where they've got peacocks walking in the grounds.
Are they? Not bad.
To make a lovely noise.
I saw a lot of peacocks stand on one leg in the Atacama Desert once.
Peacocks?
Yeah.
You're not thinking of flamingos?
Flamingos.
They're not the same.
Pink flamingos.
Yeah. If
Similar.
you saw pink flamingos walking around the outskirts of a hotel garden, I think you'd be a bit worried.
Yeah, a bit worried, yeah. Now, the thing is, do you remember as a kid going on nature rambles with the school and all that? Now, do your children still do that?
They do a lot of that, actually.
Do they?
Yeah, I mean, they do. I mean, in the primary school, where my older son used to go, they used to do a one day a week. They'd go into the forest, which was behind the school.
That's good.
And he actually learned how to make a fire.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that ridiculous thing about rubbing sticks together and all that.
Yeah, no, but he learned how to do that. He can do that.
Unbelievable.
Which is pretty good.
Now, the reason I'm asking all this is because Sir David Attenborough is saying that, kids have had nature taken off their school curriculums and they don't see all these things. They don't see hedgehogs, don't see frog spawn. I think that's a terribly bad thing.
Yeah.
Because the wonder of going to a pond, and being told that stuff in the pond is not tapioca that you get for lunch, it is frog spawn.
Yeah.
And one of these days little frogs will start leaping around and all that is quite mesmeric in my view.
But that's one of the reasons for living in the country, because that can be much more easily kind of achieved than if you live in a flat, for example. I mean, I grew up in a flat in the city, right?
Yes.
So I mean, I don't think I'd ever seen frog spawn anywhere when I was growing up.
No, exactly. And the Wildlife Trust are taking it up now. Schools are letting down pupils by not providing nature lessons, particularly in inner city areas, as you quite rightly say. You should take children out to the country. So that's something we've got to work on. 71% of children have never seen a lizard in the wild.
Yeah.
I never have, actually.
Well, when I was in Mexico, I saw those great big iguanas. You might remember I posted pictures of them. I posted pictures on Twitter of iguanas like this long.
Yeah.
They were beautiful.
When I went to Necker...
I'd love to have an iguana, actually.
When I went to Necker, there were iguanas, which Richard Branson had imported.
Oh, yeah.
But he had to get rid of his dogs.
Why?
The iguanas were attacking the dogs, and the dogs were attacking the iguanas.
Yeah, right.
Didn't like each other.
The iguanas would probably win as well, actually.
Well,
I mean, they can run at 20 miles an hour.
My God, they frightened me.
Yeah.
Wasn't there a terrible scene in one of the Bond films when a giant iguana dragged a man into his lair?
That was a Komodo dragon, wasn't it? No, wasn't that not in the Skyfall?
Skyfall, was it? Yeah.
When he goes into...
It was very pleasant.
And there's like this massive... It looks more like the size of a crocodile.
Exactly,
in the bottom of the kind of the pit.
Yeah, it was very pleasant.
Now a couple of tweets for you, or texts rather. Here's one from Jay the cabbie. Okay. He says, great, bunch of anti-capitalist protesters in London yesterday. I got stuck in traffic looking at them, wearing expensive Nike trainers and all with the latest iPhones. They really hate capitalism.
Yeah.
And then Mark from Bracknell says, minimal interest in the NFL. More people attend the NFL at Wembley than bother to turn up for most England games. Porky doesn't like the NFL NFL because the rules are too hard for them to understand.
They only have 2 fixtures a year.
Maybe
of course, a load of people turn up.
No, they're now going to do 8 fixtures a year.
Yeah.
Because they're now going to play at Twickenham. They're now going to play at Wembley as well. They're going to play at the Olympic Stadium. They're also going to play at the new Spurs ground. You know, the NFL's coming. You better, make sure you get used to it.
Only posers go to NFL games, and only posers think that, Do you know what? You're
such a Luddite.
No. I'll tell you what used to amuse me at the Daily Express, Mike, when I was in charge there.
Yeah, well, I imagine you used to amuse a lot of people.
You'd come into conference on a Monday morning, right? And the night before it had been the Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Right.
And all the posers in the room knew that the editor had half an eye on it because he'd worked in America like you and I had.
Yeah.
Sir Nicholas, he'd worked at the New York Post, hadn't he?
Yeah.
In fact, he
went to Harvard Business School.
Went to Harvard Business School, that's right, yeah. And so they used to come in and deliberately look tired and then slump forward in the chair and put their head on their arms, I
bet I know exactly who would have done that.
Yeah, right, okay.
I'm not going to name him.
And then wait for Nick, the editor, to say, David, are you all right?
Yeah. David?
Yeah,
Why are you saying David?
Because he was the foreign editor. He was trying to impress the editor that, I'm on top of things here.
Yeah.
And well...
I thought that was his normal state, just slumped over the desk.
Yeah, he was actually largely, yeah.
Especially after lunch.
Yeah, that's absolutely true, yeah. Except he was rather a miserable individual. I never saw him put his hand in his pocket to buy a drink.
He was and he's not dead, by the way, so you shouldn't be giving him too much of a hard time.
No, he lives in France, though, so he's probably not listening.
Yeah, but you never know.
He lives in the middle of France somewhere. So he would then look up and say, the Super Bowl,
not only are you going to have no friends left, I'm going to have no friends left either by the time
don't worry about that, And then,
I'm not worried about it.
And then Bernard Shrimsley would bounce in,
Another name.
Yeah, well...
He is dead, I think.
No, I don't think he is.
Isn't he?
His brother is. His brother Anthony Shrimsley. No, his brother Anthony Shrimsley, who started Now magazine. Remember that magazine launched by Jimmy... Goldsmith, yeah. He said, every time I walk down Fleet Street, I'm amazed we don't have our own news magazine like Time.
Yeah.
So he opened this one called Now.
It's amazing how people think, I'll just open a magazine, it'll be just like Time.
Yeah, that's
the fact that they've been working on this thing for decades.
Yeah, exactly.
And spent billions on it.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, so he opened his magazine Now. And it was one of those brilliant Fleet Street stories where it lasted so short a period of time. I think it didn't last 10 weeks.
No.
But people,
now known as Then.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. But people were giving up brilliant jobs all over Fleet Street to go and join Now, as something like development editor and all this kind of stuff.
Right.
I remember the guy who arrived on Monday morning at 10 o'clock to start on his first day after serving 6 weeks' notice at his newspaper.
Right.
And at 11 o'clock, Now magazine closed down.
And he went back to work. He got a payoff.
He got a payoff, yeah. It was quite
I worked for Maxwell's Sports magazine he started up, which was meant to be a rival to Sports Illustrated.
Oh, that's right.
And he said, I'm going to put money behind this. It'll be going for at least 20 years.
Yeah,
6 weeks later, he shut it.
That's right, he shut it down. Well, he shut London Daily News down after about 6 weeks as well. All these people left their jobs for Britain's first 24-hour newspaper. Yeah. The only thing that he forgot to tell the people who joined was that because it's a 24-hour newspaper, you'll have to work 24 hours. And they all collapsed with exhaustion and all this kind of stuff. You hadn't quite worked out how to do the rota system.
Yeah.
Anyway, the point of my story is...
The point of your story was about the Super Bowl.
Yeah, the Super Bowl. So those who came in and looked tired, and Bernard Shrimsley come into the room and say, right, who's got Super Bowl eyes? And he brought a box of matches in. So his grovelling to Nick was, he says, who's got Super Bowl eyes? I've got the matches here to keep you awake today.
That's ridiculous.
And it's so ludicrous, isn't it? It was, and do you know what they used
Meanwhile,
to do?
some of us have been up all night Rogerising. What's the problem there? Nobody ever admits to that.
Rogerising and drinking.
Yeah.
But old Richardson, the foreign editor who was out to impress, he went one better. Instead of just saying he stayed up to watch Super Bowl, no, Nick, we had the Super Bowl burger and Coke party, and so he got his wife to make a load of hamburgers, right, and served Coke, but the Coke, of course, wink, wink, laced with Bacardi, Nick, you know what I mean, to have a really great night and all that. What a groveller, honestly, I couldn't stand that bloke.
Yeah.
I'm glad
you never did any grovelling, did you?
I didn't do any grovelling, no.
Sure?
Yeah, I got rid of him as soon as I could because I couldn't stand the sight of him. Yeah.
He is Mike Porky Parry. I'm Mike Graham. We are the two Mikes. Loads more coming up.
Get a generous helping of the latest odds and tasty tips with Paddy's Punts every weekday afternoon from 4 on Drive with Durham and Goffey on Talk Sport with Paddy Power. You're welcome. With the form on the football.
What a game.
The going on the GGs.
And they're off.
The crack on the cricket.
6.
And lashings of Paddy's famous generosity.
Come on, give us a break. It's only a bit of crack, isn't it?
Get your tips while they're hot with Paddy's Punts. Weekday afternoons from 4 with Adrian Durham and Darren Goff on Talk Sport with Paddy Power. You're welcome.
If you drive a company car, there are some things you need. Exceptional fuel consumption, low CO2 emissions, so you pay less benefit-in-kind tax, business navigation included as standard. And then, there are some things you want. Striking aesthetics, sportline styling, star-spoke alloy wheels, sport leather seats. What you want can sometimes be what you need. The new BMW 320d ED Sport. Request a test drive at your local BMW centre.
I love my CDs, or listening to a great new track on my favourite radio station, and checking out similar artists online. And what I'd really love? A system that plays it all. The Panasonic All 5 is a wireless system that plays CDs, DAB radio and digital music and streams them to every All player throughout your home. And now there's cashback available when you buy selected combinations. Listen without limits with all connected audio from Panasonic. Available in John Lewis and richer sounds. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Find more hiding spaces. Asda's big brand toy sale is now on. Over 100 toys, including Frozen, Barbie, Avengers and Lego, are now up to half price. Because it's Christmas. Asda. Save money, live better. Higher prices charged in a minimum of 59 stores. Selected stores and availability.
Football crazy. Expert lineup.
Talk Sport.
And all the time you was the hole in my shoe, which was letting me
Now then, you know that you said to me earlier this week, and I had a go at you. You said, "Oh yeah, don't worry. When I get home, I just walk around in my socks and all that kind of stuff." You know,
right?
And I said, "Well, that's terrible." I said, "That is shocking."
Why is it terrible?
It's terrible because your socks are on your feet. Your feet obviously perspire.
My feet do not perspire, though.
All people's feet perspire.
No, they don't.
I'm
not as a general rule.
No, I'm not accusing you.
I mean, in hot weather, of course, you might have more sweaty feet than normal.
Yes.
But basically, if you have socks on, then that protects whatever it is you're walking on from your feet.
I'm not saying that you're...
generally speaking, throughout the rest of the year, I don't have sweaty feet.
I'm not saying you're being unhealthy or unclean or anything like that, but the problem is I can't walk around in my house unless I've got my slippers on me because I don't feel right.
Yeah, but that's because you're kind of OCD about these things.
No, I'm not. Now, the point...
You are the one who told me many years ago that you have a set of indoor slippers and a set of outdoor slippers.
I do.
And you don't even have anything really outside apart from your roof terrace.
Listen, I do not have to excuse myself for having a pair of slippers at the back door to change into when I go out on the roof terrace, because I'm not going to bring in,
what if it's wet, though?
Well, if it's very wet, I would put a pair of shoes on.
Right.
But if it's only damp because it was raining but isn't now, the slippers are perfectly good because they're leather.
Well, what do you mean they're leather? What's on the bottom of them?
Leather.
But they're not hard leather, are they? They'll be soft leather.
Soft leather.
They're not like hard leather shoes.
They're soft leather, but they don't absorb moisture.
But if they get wet and you bring them back into the house, where do you put them?
I put them on the kitchen floor, which is made of vinyl.
No,
that's not carpet.
That sounds to me like you're taking out more. See, what you should do is have a pair of, wellies or something, which you keep out upside down on the roof terrace. You put those on, and you never bring them back in the house, because you're actually bringing more germs into the house.
No, I'm not, because there's a big mat as I step through the door. Anyway, look, the point of the story is
very odd.
The point of the story is this. Slipper sales in this country have halved in the last 5 years. And the reason being is that people say that the rise of plush carpets are apparently getting plusher and plusher because they become cheaper and cheaper, and more particularly underfloor heating. Now, I wouldn't have underfloor heating in my house for any money in the world.
I don't think so. It's nice to have underfloor heating in a bathroom, though.
Yeah, underfloor heating in a bathroom's all right.
Have you ever had that?
No.
I've never had it, but I've been in a hotel where they've had it. It's really nice.
Can't get it fitted into the old wet room because it complicates the well,
you can't have underfloor heating and a wet room.
No, you
think
can't.
That would be tricky.
No, you can't. That's
You'd
what I said.
be asking for trouble, really, wouldn't you?
But
it's very nice to walk into a heated bathroom floor where you've got like the heated tiles. Very nice.
Sure. There's been a 72% decline in the sales of slippers this year alone compared to last year, and that has meant that shops, like Marks and Spencer's and all that, and all sorts of other places are having to readjust how many slippers they're going to stock for Christmas.
I've got a pair of comedy slippers.
What?
I've got a pair of comedy slippers.
What's on the front of them?
Well, they're like claws. You know those ones you can buy that look like claws.
And
how do you mean, how ridiculous?
Is that to amuse your children?
Well, I mean, I think one of them bought me them for Christmas one time because we all had them. So they're like, they're hairy and they've got big claws coming out of them.
Yes.
And sometimes, around Christmas time I might wear those.
That's all right. It's a bit of fun.
It's a bit of fun.
Nobody minds.
And I tell you what, when it's cold, they're very warm.
Yeah, of course they are, yeah. But the point is, I don't know how people get by without slippers. Every Christmas morning, my mother has a pair of slippers, new slippers, wrapped up under the tree for me.
Yeah, but I mean, how about this, right? When you go and go spend... you don't really stay with your family when you do Christmas, do you?
Yeah, I do. Stay in Bournemouth.
No, you stay the night with them?
Yes.
OK, so do they give you a pair of slippers or do you take your own slippers?
I've just said to you...
No, yeah, but you're saying there's a pair under the... But when you get out of bed in the morning, before you've opened your present, what are you wearing?
Well, in each of my sister's homes, which is in Bournemouth and down in Stockbroker Belt, there is a pair of Mike slippers.
They keep a pair of slippers for you?
Yes. Yes. So what are you laughing at?
Your family are even as more weird than you, then.
No, they're not.
Why do they keep a pair of slippers for you?
How do you call my family weird?
I don't keep people's
slippers.
What's wrong with that? I don't keep people's slippers in my house.
Well, yeah, but I'm their brother, and so when I visit,
I'm your brother.
Well, listen, hang on.
Ridiculous.
In each of my sister's homes, there is a bedroom called Mike's room. Okay,
oh, yeah. Is it locked?
With a sign on the door. No, it's not locked. You idiot! Right. In fact, funny enough,
what do you keep in it? Do you have stuff in it?
What do you mean? Have stuff in it?
Do you keep clothes in it?
No, I don't. I take my own clothes when I go there.
Why don't you just leave some clothes in there?
Well, because that would be presumptuous, wouldn't it?
But it's all right to have a pair of slippers.
Well, the slippers are there for me, for my use. And both my sisters prefer people in their house to wear slippers.
So they're like you? They've got the same.
They're like me,
they've got the same OCD madness. So if I was ever invited to stay there, they'd have a pair of slippers for me.
Yes, they would. Yeah, they'd find a pair for you.
I wouldn't wear them. I would deliberately not wear them.
Well, you wouldn't be allowed in the house in that case.
Well, they wouldn't know that, would they, till I got up the next morning?
No.
So if I go round for dinner, right?
Yes.
Am I required to wear slippers?
Yes, you would be, yeah.
So you invite me around. So they invite me around to their house and say, "Would you like to come around for dinner?"
Yes.
As Mike's oldest friend, and co-host on the radio show.
That's right. Yeah.
Please leave your shoes there by the
front
door.
We've got a pair of slippers for you.
Here's a pair of slippers for you.
Yeah, they would. Yeah. What's wrong with that?
Have you gone mad?
No, I haven't gone mad at all.
I'd get straight in the cab and get hop it.
Well, that would be incredibly rude, wouldn't it? To reject somebody's hospitality.
You better never invite me
because they're trying to preserve the decency of their very expensive carpets.
I would not put on a pair of slippers at somebody's request.
Well, I wouldn't do it. I think that's bad manners. Bad manners.
No, I think it's incredibly bad manners to invite somebody to your house and insist that they wear something.
Well, hang on. If I came to your house then...
Well, what if you came to my house and I said, I insist that you wear this red jumper?
Well, it's not a jumper, is it, you idiot? It's a practical use of slippers. If I came to your shack, right, in the middle of your field, down in Kent or whatever it is, right, and I walked into your house, I would automatically take my shoes off.
That's fine.
Right?
But I wouldn't say, now you have to put these shoes on.
Well, you should have a pair of slippers for me.
That's the operation of a madman.
No, you should have a pair of slippers there. Or, if you say to me in advance,
you can wear
I'll bring my own.
You can wear my joke slippers
I'd
with the big claws.
No, I wouldn't do that. But, I mean, you surely don't let people walk around your house in their outdoor shoes, do you? No, exactly. But I mean, what provision do you make for me when I come then and take my shoes off?
You can walk around in your stocking feet.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that on anybody's carpets.
Stay in the porch then.
No, well, there you
bring your food out to you like a dog.
Incidentally, in my sister's house in Bournemouth, where I'm going to be staying in a few weeks' time, because, of course, I'm going to the Bournemouth-Everton game.
Indeed.
And
there's been a lot of chatter on Twitter, by the way, about your kind of weaseling out of the
I'm not weaseling out of anything.
Well, people have said, I mean, I don't know if you heard me say it earlier to Andy Goldstein.
Yes.
If you want to, a couple of people saying, for my next forfeit, if I lose the bet, I'd like somebody to buy me lunch at Simpson's in the Strand.
Yes, okay.
I mean, that's kind of what you've done. What you've done is you've basically you've shunned the idea of falling into the water.
I've told you it's the mea culpa. It's the mea culpa.
Yeah.
But
it better be humiliating, otherwise people are going to be upset.
Anyway, I was going to say to you, actually, and perhaps I shouldn't say this, but I will. My sister treats me so warmly when I go there as a guest.
I bet.
That my own room that I have there is known as the Marilyn Monroe suite.
Why is that then?
Because it's full of pictures of Marilyn Monroe.
Why has it got pictures of Marilyn Monroe in it?
Because she likes Marilyn Monroe.
Really?
It's, one of her sort of movie heroes and all that kind of stuff.
Is it en suite with a bathroom?
Of course it's en suite with a bathroom.
What do you mean, of course? Well, I mean, are you just some demented, deluded person? Do you think everybody listening to this show has an en suite bathroom with every bedroom in their house? You do, don't you?
No, I don't.
And if they don't have it, you think there's some kind of down market filth.
No. Now you're putting words in my mouth.
That's what you do.
Most homes these days have at least one ensuite bedroom, don't they?
Yeah.
At least.
But you're not staying in a place that has at least one, are you?
No, it's got 7.
7.
Yes.
7 ensuite bathrooms.
Yes.
Dear God.
What is wrong with
what
that?
What sort of a world do you live in?
Well, hang on.
How many people listening to this show do you think have even got more than 2 or 3 bedrooms in their house? Never mind 7 en suites.
I agree. My family live in a big house.
What is it, Southfork you're going to?
No, it has got an east wing and a west wing, actually, and it is a big house, I agree. But that's through years and years of hard work in their business and all that kind of stuff, and slowly renovating the house and all that. Yeah. And they decided each time that they renovated something, they'd attach an ensuite bathroom. So, for instance, they've got 2 children who've now left home. And
so they've got how many bedrooms in this house?
I think it is 7.
7?
Yes.
So they've got 2 kids?
Yes.
So why do they need 7 bedrooms?
Well, they like to have a nice house. They've got 9 bathrooms, actually.
And
because...
so what other suites are there? Marilyn Monroe suite? Have you got like a James Dean suite? No.
No. It's just the Marilyn Monroe one, which is just special. All the rest are just nicely pointed rooms, and they've got ensuite bathrooms. Of course they have. And in fact,
of course they have. You say it like everybody has them.
Well, I know, but I'm saying it's a big house. It's on the edge of a golf course. It's a lovely house, and they've done very well in life because they work very hard. So there's not a problem there at all. But they've got a home cinema, so you can go upstairs and watch
downsize and give the house to somebody that needs it.
No, not at all, because, for instance, at Christmas, and everybody goes there, they need all the rooms.
Have they got slippers for everyone?
Yes, they have, yes.
See, there's something definitely wrong with that.
No, there's not.
Don't take my word for it. How about this from Lee?
In fact, the slippers are kept in a little basket at the door with the names of the person's slippers on them.
Do you know the only other person I've seen that does this?
What?
Andy Carroll. Have you seen Andy Carroll's Instagram pictures?
Well, I think he's a very well brought up lad.
Hideous kind of pink furniture and ghastly looking,
Why do you say that so dismissively? You accuse me of being a snob, and then you're talking now
because it looks hideous.
And now you're talking about the interior decoration of a footballer's home, and hideous. You are mocking him as though he's some sort of...
Well, you've seen it, right? You've seen it.
I've seen the pictures.
You think it looks nice?
I think that he can decorate his house in any way he wants because he's a young man who's made a lot of money.
But you're not going to make any judgment on it.
I'm not making any judgment.
Because you never judge anything.
I'm not making any judgments on that whatsoever.
Really?
No, not at all. And I think it's very wrong of you.
I've seen it and I think it's hideous. Listen to this from Lee. It says, Porky's off his head. Outdoor slippers, indoor slippers, Dorset slippers, OCD on a grand scale, #plank. Here's one from Rob who says, perhaps you should ask your boss at TalkSport to keep a pair of slippers at the studio for you.
No, because we have
Why don't you wear slippers in here?
Don't be ridiculous. This is hard-wearing
carpet. You've got a pair of slippers in the car. Put some car slippers on.
No, I mean, why are you being so facetious? You see, the problem with you is...
because I think it's absolutely outrageous.
The problem with
if I was invited to somebody's house and they made me wear anything, I'd tell them to don't take a running jump.
Well, you'd never get invited to that house again, and quite rightly so, if you're such an ignorant guest.
That's why I don't go and look. I don't go to anybody's house.
You're sort of slob who'd probably smoke in somebody's house.
Not at all, no.
Disgusting.
I would not do that.
Absolutely disgusting.
If the people in the house said, feel free to have a cigarette, even then, I would say, don't worry, I'm used to going outside, I'll just go outside.
See, your problem
unless it's raining, of course.
Your problem is, you see, you keep saying to me, I'm a snob and all that kind of stuff.
You are a snob.
All I do is I sometimes reveal some of the standards that I demand in life.
You're kind of worse nouveau riche, hyacinth bouquet kind of...
Some of these standards I demand on life. When I reveal these publicly, you feel so ashamed that not at all. Your standard of
I'm very happy with my standards.
No, your standards in life are not up to mine. That you mock everything I stand for.
No,
you mock.
No, because what you stand for is the worst kind of jumped up, neck curtain twitching, middle class bourgeoisie. That's what you represent.
That's the only way you can explain it. Do you know what you stand for?
What?
You stand for a man who is slobbish in his attitude to his life, slobbish in his attitude to his children, and actually your life is more like being a down and out and a bum.
The people you look down on, right? Let's hear it. Come on. Let's hear the elitism coming out.
Than a man with any standards.
I've got many standards, but don't invite me to your house.
How many doormats you got at your front door?
I've got no doormats in my front door.
I've got 3.
Why have you got 3?
Because you walk from 1 to 2 to 3. By that time, any moisture on the bottom of your shoes has come off.
Yeah.
Okay.
And you don't think that makes you OCD?
No, that does not make me OCD.
Why don't you get a little hairdryer? Why don't you get a little hairdryer to dry the bottom of them as well?
I'll tell you something. You could do with a hairdryer. You don't look to me like you've washed your hair for about a week.
You know what's different about your house and my house?
I can fry chips in your hair tonight.
Do you know what's different?
You filthy
when I get
slob.
to my house, there are people there looking forward to see me because they love me. When
Really?
you get there, there's just nothing there, like a big empty vacuum.
No, it's not. It's a big empty clean vacuum. It's a very clean vacuum.
Well, as long as it's clean, that's the main thing.
Yeah. Tell you what, mate. Have you got any ensuite bathrooms in your house?
Yeah, of course.
Oh,
I've got one, like everybody else has.
You got one?
Not 7.
God,
You know, like some kind of jumped-up JR. I
don't know.
This is Talk Sport. Coming up in the next hour, we got Ask Porky on Guy Fawkes. Guy Fawkes only had one ensuite bathroom as well. Right now, it's 3 o'clock.
One ensuite bathroom.
So
how the mighty have fallen.
Did you be quiet for a minute?
Talk Sport on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. The enduring home of football.
It's modern radio, only better.
Talk Sport.
Good morning, I'm Mike Graham. He's Mike Parry. You're listening to the two Mikes. We're keeping you entertained throughout the night. Coming up in this hour, we'll have more stories about Mike Parry, man of the people. Somebody's just tweeted in and said, Zach from Plymouth, is Porky the reason why Downton Abbey has stopped? Because he wants his house back. This is Talk Sport. I am Mike Graham. He is Mike Parry. There will be a podcast coming out a little bit later on. Another one here from Jack, who says, does Parry know what it's like to have no money? Man of the people, my backside. There's a bit of
Of course, I know what it's like to have no money. You know, I used to work for £20 a week. You know, I was
£20 a week was a lot of money.
Scrimming and scraping in those days. You know, I had an old beaten up Vauxhall Viva car. I used to ride around on a bike.
And now you dismiss people with old beaten up cars as people who have got no ambition in life.
No, it's great to have a beaten up old car because it gives you an incentive to get on in life. You should know. You've got 2.
No, I've got 2, yeah, but I'm perfectly happy. That. I'm perfectly happy with my cars, even though they're now going to cost me quite a lot of money to get sorted out. But that's another story. Here's one from Stephen. It says Mike Graham wouldn't be able to make it in Japan, having to wear slippers in some restaurants. Would it be like that scene from Donnie Brasco, wouldn't it?
Donnie Brasco.
Remember that scene from Donnie Brasco where the guys go into a Chinese?
Oh, this is brilliant!
Let
me tell you, it's fantastic. He had his listening device strapped to his ankle, didn't he?
Yeah, and he was wearing cowboy boots.
He was wearing cowboy boots and all that. And the Japanese manager of the Japanese restaurant, said you have to take your shoes off in my restaurant because you sit around on cushions and eat your food cross-legged. And he said, I'm not taking my shoes off. And then the other guys, who were all the gangsters,
and they're like, just
they said, take your shoes off, you know. And he said, I'm not taking my shoes off. He just take your shoes off, you know, what's the problem? Then he said, my grandfather was tortured by the Japanese in a prisoner of war camp.
That's right.
He's never been the same man since.
Right.
I'm not taking my shoes off this man else. And then they all looked at each other and said, the Japs tortured his grandfather. Yeah. So they took him into they took the manager.
It was a horrible scene, actually.
Oh, it was a horrible scene. The manager, who was entirely innocent, they got him, dragged him into the men's room, you know, which, as you know, in America has very, very solid sink basins, usually square, but incredibly solid. And they got hold of the back of his head and they smashed all his teeth out on the edge of the sink, didn't they?
Exactly.
Which was a bit unfortunate for the old manager who hadn't done anything wrong.
Yeah.
It wasn't his fault that Donnie Brasco was a spy in the midst.
Undercover FBI man, yeah.
Exactly.
How about this from Ian? He says, the Porky mantle of man of the people appears to be collapsing. It's like the statue of Saddam being pulled down. And Robbie says, Porky sounds like he's the pauper of the family. Poor him.
Yeah, well, you know, I don't mind being called the pauper of the family, because if you're in a family of high achievers, there's not a problem with that, is there? You know, you could say, for instance, what am I saying right here? You could say that maybe Andy Murray's brother, what's his name?
Andy Murray's brother?
Yeah.
I can't remember.
John Murray?
It's not John Murray.
Bobby Murray?
It's not Bobby, it's not David Murray.
David Murray?
No,
what's his name? Andy Murray's brother.
I can't remember what I did.
Hang on.
Is it Jamie Murray?
Jamie. It's Jamie Murray, right?
Yeah.
Now, he is a international tennis champion, albeit at doubles, right? But nevertheless, a very high achiever.
Yeah.
But you would say the failure of the family, really, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Here's one from Chris.
What do you mean, dismissively?
Yeah, but because I'm just doing to you what you do to me.
No.
Here's one from Chris. Room 72, Mike's room, a dedicated room just for Mike Parry slippers, Marilyn Monroe pictures, hashtag family of big house planks.
See, now what you've done is your
entire family of snobs.
You've taken it a step too far.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind taking a bit of flack from our millions of listeners. I don't mind taking a bit of flack from you.
Yeah.
When you start them attacking my family and
this from the man who calls my father on a regular basis a rambling old nutter.
But your father was a rambling old nutter.
So that's okay then.
But there's nothing wrong with my family. They've worked hard in life and done well.
Yeah.
So I find that despicable.
Mark says, I want to see pictures of all these ensuite bathrooms. And somebody else is questioning the madness of having 7 baths in one house.
Yeah, why?
Why would you have 7 baths?
They haven't all got baths. Some of them got showers.
Oh, right, okay. Well, even that, it's ridiculous, isn't it?
No.
Hey, by the way, have you seen this story this week about the more colourful clothes you wear, the more likely you are to get a pay rise?
Well, I tell you something, when I see people like Jon Snow on Channel 4 News wearing silly ties because it's a protest about the fact that he didn't want to wear a tie in the first place.
Oh, I saw old Robert Peston on the BBC last night. He was wearing a tie. I thought he'd left already.
Hang on, I was going to say, isn't he joining...
He's going to ITV.
He's joining Tom Bradby at News at 10.
He is.
Now then, have you seen the war that's going on between Tom Bradby on News at 10 and Hugh Edwards Boyo on the BBC News?
Yeah, there's going to be a bit of what you would call a battle of the big beasts there.
Well, the thing is, Tom Bradby, although it's not from his own mouth, there's a very good PR exercise going on saying that Tom Bradby, who was once described as the best-looking man on television, right, has attracted 500,000 new listeners.
Yes.
And
the ladies love him.
Exactly. The wink, wink, hint, hint is that, it's all the ladies tuning in to watch him. Hugh Edwards is so infuriated about this.
Yeah.
He sends out a tweet saying, get your figures right and all this kind of stuff, and says that they're still 2 million at 4.4 million listeners, nearly 2.5 million ahead of News at 10, which only has 2 million. Viewers, should mean.
Well,
television.
It's all very well with people like Hugh Edwards talking about, the rating system. I mean, first of all, BBC is meant to be a public service broadcaster, right?
So why do they compete?
So one, they're not supposed to be competing.
Exactly.
And also for him to say, because I sit here, this is why we get so many, millions of viewers.
Yes.
They could put a stuffed dummy on the News at 10.
It's absolutely true.
And millions of people still watch it.
It's absolutely true. I mean, I've often thought this about, the hosts of football highlight shows, with no disrespect to our colleagues who do that kind of job. But
of course.
People normally tune in to watch the action and the, those who guide us towards the action.
And certainly there are some people who are better at it than others.
Of course there are.
No
do the
doubt
job and
about
that kind of stuff. But you do think sometimes whether we sometimes misbalance the appropriate ratio of rewards, if you see what I mean.
Also, did you see his tweet, Hugh Edwards? Very weird. He writes this, right? Happy to report business as usual at 10, whatever others may wish, 4.4 million versus 2 million.
Yes.
Back to work with a smile. And then he writes a word that I don't understand. Diolch. D-I-O-L-C-H.
What is it?
D-I-O-L-C-H.
D-I-O...
Is that Welsh?
Yeah, it will be, Be
is
Welsh. Yes, Welsh. I recognise it as a Welsh language word.
I don't know what it means.
Definitely. Like Cymru.
Cymru.
Eh?
Cymru.
Yeah, that means that's
the
Welsh for
Wales.
Like
a U and
that's
Welsh
for Wales.
Like a Y.
Welsh for Wales, mate.
And then an ITV source responds by saying, someone get Hugh a saucer of milk is a bit desperate, really.
Yes. Yes.
Why would he get himself involved in all that?
Well, people's egos sometimes take a bit of a battering. And if Hugh Edwards, who has been the king... I mean, you remember all those guys in America, like Dan Rather?
Oh, yeah.
And
Peter Jennings.
And Peter Jennings, yeah. And
they were great when they were at their peak.
Yes, that's right.
When the days before there was any kind of 24/7 news.
That's right, yeah.
People would tune in to the news in the evening at CBS, ABC or NBC.
That's right.
And Tom Brokaw was the other, wasn't he?
Yeah.
And the three of them were constantly kind of trying to vie for the best viewership. But everybody watched that show.
But the guy who started all that was Waller Cronkite.
Yes, that's right.
And Lyndon Baines Johnson actually turned to one of his aides in the Oval Office at the White House after watching the news, and Waller Cronkite had expressed doubts about the validity of the Vietnam War.
Yeah.
And Johnson said, we got to end the war.
Yeah.
Waller's against us.
Yeah, exactly.
And that was it.
Dan Rather went a bit mad, didn't he? Do you remember? Yeah, there was a couple of incidents that happened.
Yeah.
He went to cover, I think this was when he was still a reporter, he went to cover the Republican National Convention when Nixon was getting the nomination.
Right.
And for some bizarre reason, he claimed that he was kidnapped by a cab driver. And he got out of the plane at Chicago O'Hare Airport.
Yeah.
And instead of this guy driving him around and taking him to his hotel, apparently this guy went on some mad rampage around the outskirts of Illinois and Chicago, and locked the doors and wouldn't let Dan Rather out. And nobody ever really found out why that was the case, right? Then he got punched on the floor of some convention as well. And then do you remember the other one where he was walking around in Manhattan one night, and this was much later, and everybody wondered if it was something to do with some nefarious activity that he was up to. And he got beaten up by these three guys on the corner of 79th and Park or something. And they kept shouting to him, "What's the frequency, Kenneth?"
Yeah.
And nobody knew why.
And was the insinuation that these were thugs hired by Nixon's campaign to keep him quiet?
Nobody really knew. It was never explained. Yeah. But then he also went further mad, right?
The frequency.
And then the further craziness was that he started ending his broadcast with one word, right?
Oh, what was it?
And he would change it from time to time.
I see.
But I remember one particular one, and he'd always end the newscast with courage. And he would just say courage. Instead of saying good night, he'd go courage.
Oh, yeah.
People thought this bloke's gone completely
people
bonkers.
go mad. Do you remember Connie Chung took over?
Yes.
I mean, she was the first woman anchor, wasn't she?
I think she might have been, yeah.
And she was so, what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of so out of her depth, really, and on big stories.
Well, it's such a massive thing to be an anchor in American TV.
It was, yeah. But she's most famous for the fact that she ended up living in the Dakota apartment next door to John Lennon.
Yeah.
And the famous story is she missed the shooting because Lennon was shot outside his apartment at the Dakota and died bleeding on the pavement and all that. And
she didn't know what was going on.
She lived in the next door apartment and looking out of a window, what's going on? What's on the
these cops in? Yeah. Absolutely incredible.
I'm sure that's an apocryphal story, by the way.
I don't know. And then there was the guy Brian, what's his name, most recently, who pretended that he was shot at. Do you remember? And he was taken off the air. The guy who ended up being the anchor at CBS.
No, who's he?
He did, Brian Williams, the guy who it was only in the last few months.
What happened?
Well, he told this elaborate story about when he was flying into some Middle Eastern place with Hillary Clinton, and they came under fire.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
and it turned out he wasn't even on the helicopter.
Well, Hillary Clinton claimed she was under fire, and she wasn't.
Yeah.
In a separate incident.
Yeah, but he said that he was under fire.
He said he was in the helicopter that went down.
Yeah.
And in fact, when they checked the military records, because these guys are embedded with the military, they said that guy was not on the helicopter that went down. Right. So he told a terrible lie.
Yeah, exactly.
And tried to big himself up by saying he was in an heroic situation, and he wasn't.
Absolute bonkers.
And once you do that as a broadcaster, you are finished, because then nobody can believe a word you're saying.
Yeah, I know. Shocking, that.
It is.
This is Talk Sport. He's Mike Parry, I'm Mike Graham. Porky Quiz is getting very near.
Whether they're first past the post at Cheltenham or in off the post at the Boleyn Ground, whether they're scrumming down at Twickenham or throwing arrows at the O2, whether they're teeing off at Augusta or stopping for tea at Old Trafford, get closer to the action with all the latest form and odds from Betway's betting expert every weekend on the Weekend Sports Breakfast. Saturday and Sunday mornings from 7 on Talk Sport with Betway. Get closer to the action with Betway.
The BMW i3. It's not just an electric car. It's an electric car that drives like a BMW. Rentals from £299 per month. Discover more at bmw.co.uk/i3. £3,699 initial rental, 36-month hire agreement from BMW Financial Services, subject to status and availability for new vehicles ordered before 31st of December 2015 and registered by 31st of March 2016. UK only, guarantees may be required. Mileage and other conditions apply when you return the vehicle.
Find more hiding spaces. Asda's big brand toy sale is now on. Over 100 toys, including Frozen, Barbie, Avengers and Lego, are now up to half price. Because it's Christmas. Asda. Save money, live better. Higher prices charged in a minimum of 59 stores. Selected stores and availability.
Do you have a child aged 2, 3 or 4? Flu can be serious for young children, but you can help them stay well this winter. All it takes to help protect your children from flu is one simple nasal spray that's free, fast and painless. Don't put it off. Take up the offer from your GP as soon as you can. NHS. We're here to help you stay well this winter.
On digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM. Talk Sport.
I noticed they don't offer anybody a prize for beating your school. Because they'd go bankrupt, probably, wouldn't they? Because everybody would.
I'm not going to.
Are you going to try and remember to put your scores in this week?
I'm not going to respond to that. Are we doing the scores now?
Yeah, we're doing them now.
Let's get on with them then.
All right, let's get on with them. This is the Selco
blinking
predictor.
Nonsense. Let's give the listeners a break from your. You've been in a really rambling, mean mood tonight. Yeah, I think that finally the success that I've had in my life has finally got you.
You think that's what it is?
Yeah, you can't contain your bitterness.
Well, maybe I'm just giving you back some of the appalling abuse you give me over the weeks and years.
Let's get on with this, shall we?
The first game, a club very close to your heart, where you'll soon be going to make a mea culpa, as you say.
Right, yeah.
Bournemouth are hosting Newcastle in the opening game.
Yes.
12:45 kickoff tomorrow. What do you make of that one?
They'll beat them 2-1.
You think Bournemouth are going to win?
Well, Bournemouth are just one above the relegation zone, aren't they, on 8 points, but Newcastle are hapless. Bournemouth 2, Newcastle 1.
I'm going the other way. I'm going Bournemouth 1, Newcastle 2. Leicester against Watford.
Leicester against Watford. You can't seem to stop Leicester at the moment.
No.
They're in great form. Everybody says, their bubble will burst. Hasn't burst yet. Vardy's going for his ninth consecutive game as a scorer.
Yeah.
I'm going to say Leicester 3, Watford 1.
And by the way, we didn't mention this, but on the back pages this morning, and you've heard it yesterday, Roy Hodgson saying, Jamie Vardy shouldn't expect to place in the team.
Yeah.
What's wrong with him?
Yeah, I know.
He's a guy who can't stop scoring.
I don't know.
I'm going to go Leicester 3, Watford 2, because they seem to have a habit of coming back from goals down.
Yeah, okay.
Manchester United against West Brom on Saturday.
Yes. Well,
this is a team that can't really score very many goals, isn't it?
And Rooney's just broken his duck. He might score again. West Brom, on the other hand, having a struggle this season as well. You've got to go for a United victory. So I've got to say it'll be, 2-0. 2-0 to Manchester United.
I'm going to go 1-1.
Oh, okay. That's not a bad...
Because I think Tony Pulis it's about time he started to get some decent results.
Not a bad gamble.
Norwich against Swansea.
Norwich-Swansea. Hello, boyo.
Is that Norwich, where, of course, nobody goes?
Yeah. Well, there's not a motorway to Norwich, otherwise it'd be a very prosperous city. Right, that will be, let me see, Norwich 2-2. Norwich 2, okay. Swansea 2.
I'm going Norwich 0, Swansea 1.
Okay.
Coming up next, Sunderland against Southampton. A lot of red stripes there.
Yeah, but Southampton looking really good now, and Sunderland looking hapless. And I, although Big Sam obviously will get in there and change them, they looked terrible at Everton, didn't they?
They did.
I don't believe they can put that right in just a week. So I'm going Sunderland 1, Southampton 2.
Yeah, I'm going Sunderland 0, Southampton 2.
Okay.
West Ham United versus Everton. This is close to your heart. This one.
So I should be at this game.
You going there, eh?
I'm going. Yeah,
very nice.
And,
who are you going there with?
Oh, a friend.
There's another one you didn't invite me to then.
No, I didn't. No. You show me up at football matches sometimes, so, I'm very select about where I invite you to. Right, so this will be West Ham United, Everton. I can only say West Ham United 2, Everton 3.
Now, the last 2 weeks, I've been similarly inclined about Everton with you, but
yes.
I think this time I'm going to go a different way, because I see West Ham are due a win, I think. They've had a lot
of wins. That's why they're where they are in the table.
But most recently, they haven't been
playing
that well,
form.
have they?
Their away form is better than their home form.
Yeah, exactly right. But I mean, they lost to Watford last week, so I think this week they're going to be coming back because I think old Mr. Bilic is going to insist on it. So I'm going to go West Ham 2, Everton 1. Stoke Chelsea.
Yes.
This is a big one. Saturday, 5:30 kickoff.
I think Chelsea are on the road back. I think it's going to be Stoke, because I heard Mark Hughes as well saying, I'll be showing no mercy to Jose. Well, hang on, that's what you paid for, mate, not to show mercy to anybody, including Jose. Stoke 1, Chelsea 3.
OK, I'm going Stoke 1, Chelsea 2. Trouble is, every week we say this is the comeback trail for Chelsea.
Yes.
It never is. The next one should be easier. Sunday, 1:30 kickoff. Aston Villa and Remy Gard. With his first game against, unfortunately for him, Manchester City.
I know. I hate to be cruel here, but I'm afraid I think this is going to be a right old tonking for Aston Villa, and, with the new manager there. Yeah. And I think it's going to be Aston Villa 1, Manchester City 5.
Wow. I'm going 5-0.
No, 5-0.
And I'm making that my certainty yellow dollar bet as well.
Yeah.
Arsenal-Tottenham. Now, this is always fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
Arsenal haven't lost to Tottenham at home for quite some time.
No, they haven't. And respectively in Europe, they had different fates this week, didn't they? I mean,
did.
Arsenal got battered.
They did.
They
got a lot of injuries, mind you.
Yeah, but Arsenal always seem to bounce back from a disastrous result this season.
Yeah.
So I'm going to have to say Arsenal 2, Tottenham 0.
I'm going Arsenal 3, Tottenham 2.
Okay.
I'm calling it a bit of a goal fest. And then finally, Liverpool against Crystal Palace.
Yeah.
Liverpool having to travel back, don't forget, 2,500 miles from Rubin Kazan.
Yeah. Don't think it'll matter, and I think Liverpool will do okay, but not outrageously. Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 1.
Yeah, Palace have kind of slipped down the table a bit, haven't they? They're way back down in, where are they? They're 10th now. The Pardew magic sort of rubbed off a little bit. Well, I'm going Liverpool 2, Crystal Palace 1.
Right.
I'm now having electronically submitted my predictions. Mine are in the system.
Right.
And you're going to have to remember to get yours put in the system.
I will. And I'm going to go for... Now, what's the dollar sign?
The dollar sign is the one that you think is most likely to be true.
Well, I'm ticking that as Villa City.
Well, that's sensible.
And what's the other one?
And then the green one in the middle,
yes,
the padlock-looking one, is the one that you're not so sure about.
Right.
I've made that Man United West Brom for me.
For me, that's going to be I think that's going to be, yeah, I think it's going to have to be Man United West Brom as well. Yes, that's going to be Manchester United West Brom. Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Right,
now, I've got loads and loads of tweets here. Here's one from William. He says, joining the two mics now at the International Space Station via live link from NASA.
Yes.
Not quite sure what that means.
No, I'm not. Perhaps he thinks we're a couple of space cadets, as we used to call ourselves
possibly.
when we were young.
Mike says, I was just listening to Thursday's podcast. That Neil Warnock impression was uncanny. Could have been Neil himself in the studio.
Hey, I'm going to enjoy myself, mate.
It is very good, actually.
You know,
it is one of your better ones. Have you heard Remy Gard yet?
I have to tell the lads.
Have you heard Remy?
I tell the lads, get out there and enjoy yourselves. I'm going to enjoy myself, mate. Remy Gard.
And here's one from.
Well, Remy Gard sounds so much like a Frenchman.
Well, he is a Frenchman,
honestly. But all the usual. I pick the team. I will sign the players. I will have the final say in the transfer negotiations because it is a big decision. I mean, honestly, I just felt there's no substance in what you say, Mr. Gard.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Seriously.
We'll see. But there's going to be lots of Gard-type headlines because the paper's already done all that. Rep says, were you guys in the States during the Watergate scandal? If so, did you guys ever mix with David Frost? I never mixed with David Frost, but you may have been to a few David Frost parties.
How old does that guy think we are? Watergate was like, you know...
It was in the 70s.
Yeah.
Early 70s.
Yeah, well, mid-70s
no,
at least.
Early 70s.
Yeah. Early 70s, you're absolutely right, yeah.
And there's one from Brandon who says, I'm laughing from the US about your news anchor conversation. Impressive accuracy. Well, that's because I was telling the story.
Yeah, exactly,
obviously.
What I was going to say is I never met Frost at all. Except for...
Did you not go to one of his parties?
No.
He used to throw parties with very highfalutin media types.
No.
How come you were never on the guest list?
Oh, I don't know. I never sort of mixed with Frost. But one time, when I was a callow youth, and I was the head of the Birmingham Evening Mail London Fleet Street office, OK?
Yeah.
At the age of about 22. I mean, you know, I was absolute whiz kid. And at weekends, because we worked Monday to Friday, and at weekends I would work for the Sunday Mirror on a Saturday.
Oh, you do a shift there?
Yeah, I do a shift there. And, you know, that huge building...
There was some skullduggery going on there in those days, wasn't there?
You bet. That
was the name of that guy that ended up owning a ski resort?
Oh, I don't know.
P.J. Wilson.
P.J. Wilson, that's right. He was the news editor.
I think he's dead now.
He was a madman.
Yeah.
PJ was a.
He made so much money on the slide.
Oh, he had all sorts of businesses.
He had his own ski resort.
But in those days, these guys all invented news agencies, right? And they paid because they were in charge of the budgets.
Yeah.
They were paying like £1,000 a week to something like Canvey Island News, which didn't exist.
But they owned it.
They owned it, yeah. And it was a shell company registered at their accountants or something like that. You know, I mean, it was ripping off left, right, and centre. Yeah. And in fact, you heard the stories in those days, but this actually happened. Yeah. You got paid at the end of the day, and you went upstairs to the cash office. You handed your slip in, and they handed you a bundle of about 137 quid, which was a fortune in those days. It was as much as I was earning on the Birmingham Mail for the rest of the
whole week.
You see what I mean?
Yeah.
But when you filled in your name, it was Donald Duck.
Was it?
Donald Duck.
You see, I did
Mickey
that when
Mouse,
I worked. When I first worked
Superman.
at the show, I did that, but I never did that.
Yeah,
so you didn't pay tax on it either?
No, you didn't pay tax on it. We were encouraged to do that.
Is that another porky crime you just admitted to?
Yeah, it is, absolutely. And I got
Blimey.
I got a bit more creative and started writing things like, what was Batman's real name?
Bruce Wayne.
Bruce Wayne, that's right. I remember putting Bruce Wayne down and all this kind of stuff. And used to get like that. Anyway, so one
just sort of statute of limitations has run out, really.
Listen, one Saturday I was just about to go home, and all of a sudden PJ, used to flap his arms around a lot. Oh, I got very excited. He said, right, get in your car. And he sent me to Norfolk, where David Frost...
To Norfolk?
To Norfolk, from London, in my beaten-up Vauxhall Viva.
Right.
It took about 3.5 hours to get there.
Right.
There were no motorways in those days to Norfolk. It was terrible.
Well, there still aren't, are there?
There still aren't.
That's part of the problem.
And I had to go to David Frost's cottage in a place called Westleton, right on the coast there, because he'd married Peter Sellers' widow, Lynn Frederick.
Okay.
And, of course, I'd done the Sellers' death. I'd stood at his bedside in a white coat.
You've done that already?
I'd done that. I did that about 3 weeks earlier.
Right.
No, it couldn't have been. It must have been 3 months earlier.
Yeah.
David Frost had picked up his widow and married her.
Right.
And I had to go knock on David Frost's door, and he told me literally to F off as he opened the door.
I'm sure.
Because I was about the eighth, Free reporter to get there. Most people who got there had better cars than me.
Yeah.
And that was the only occasion I ever came into contact with David Frost.
Oh, right. Well, it's quite good when you have a collection of people that have told you to get lost.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly,
I've got some of those as well.
Yeah.
We'll talk some more about that. Coming up next, though, it's time for the Porky Quiz.
Talk Sport on DAB digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Freedom for sport.
Can we kick it? Yes, we can. Talk Sport.
We are the two mics. It is that time of the week that some people call the highlight of the show.
Bring
it on. If it is the highlight of the show. Do you know that song, by the way?
That song?
Yeah.
No.
You don't know it? Firestarter.
Firestarter. That's not one of the questions, is it?
No,
no,
it's not. No, but it has a certain sort of connection with Guy Fawkes Night.
Yeah.
You said to me when you came in you hadn't heard any fireworks. I'm not sure if that's a bad omen.
No, I haven't heard any fireworks last night,
going on all night.
Yeah, really? I
November the 5th. It is, of course, now November the 6th. Anyway, as per usual, if you get one correct, you will hear this sound.
Your powers of observation continue to serve you well.
And if you get one wrong, you will hear this sound.
Are you like a crazy person?
Right.
You won't hear much of that one.
Well, we'll see.
Yeah.
Are you ready for question number one?
Certainly am.
Where is the island named after Guy Fawkes?
What's that got to do with Guy Fawkes Night?
Well, it's an island named after him.
An island?
An island.
What, Guy Fawkes Island?
Yeah, where is it?
I've never come across a Guy. There is not a Guy Fawkes Island, to my knowledge.
Well, to your knowledge is wrong.
What do you mean?
Are you like a crazy person?
It's a stupid question.
I think they may have got a bit early there.
Yeah, it's just I was only thinking
You're
aloud.
only thinking aloud.
Thinking aloud, please. Yeah, cancel that.
We'll give you another chance.
Right, Guy Fawkes Island.
Guess,
Guy Fawkes Island is in British Columbia.
Incorrect.
Are you like a crazy person?
It's to the northwest of Santa Cruz Island in the Galapagos. It's called Isla Guy. And it's named after Guy Fawkes.
Hang on, Isla Guy is Guy Island.
Yeah, Guy
It is
Fawkes.
not Guy Fawkes
No, it's
Island.
named after Guy Fawkes.
How do you know?
Because it is. You can look it up later.
Oh, no, I'm not having this.
Yeah.
And anyway, that's not a question about Guy Fawkes
0 out
Night.
of 1. Well, you didn't say Guy Fawkes Night. You said Guy Fawkes is the subject. Question number 2. What happened to the cellar that Guy Fawkes tried to blow up?
What do you mean, what happened to the cellar?
What happened to it?
Well, the cellar was underneath the Houses of Parliament. And it was next to the house that Guy Fawkes lived in for months undercover and burrowed through the wall into the adjoining cellar, which was underneath the Houses of Parliament, OK? And after they found the 36 barrels of gunpowder in the cellar and took them away, they sealed the cellar up forever.
Is that your answer?
Yes.
Incorrect.
Are you like a crazy person?
The cellar was part of the medieval Houses of Parliament destroyed by fire in 1834.
Yes, I know that.
Well, you didn't say that.
Hang on.
0 out of 2.
Hang on, that's 200 years later.
Well, I said, what
That's
happened to it?
200 years later.
Well, the question is, what happened to it?
But that's like saying, what happened to the beach where William invaded in 1066 and then tell me 1,000 years later they built a pier on it. That's rubbish.
No, that's not true.
That's a rubbish question.
If that was a question about the Normans...
You asked me what happened to a cellar 200 years
you
after...
You effectively said nothing happened to it.
I did. I said it was boarded up.
Destroyed by fire.
It was boarded up, and nobody's ever allowed to go there again.
All right, question number 3.
That's rubbish.
How many conspirators were part of the gunpowder plot?
Well, in total, depends whether you're talking about the lot who were down in London or whether you were talking about the lot who were in the Midlands at Coton Court, where they plotted the gunpowder plot, the Catholic rebels. I would say in total...
This is a generally accepted number.
Generally accepted number is 11.
Incorrect.
Are you like a crazy person?
12, including the mastermind Robert Catesby.
No, it was 11.
It was 12.
I counted them last night. It was
12.
11.
It's 12.
No.
Did you include Guy... Maybe you forgot to include Guy Fawkes.
It was Guy Fawkes and 11 conspirators.
No, so the answer is 12.
You said the conspirators.
Yeah, well, Guy Fawkes was a conspirator.
No, he wasn't. He was.
What was he?
He was the focal point of the whole plot.
You got it wrong. None out of 3. Question
This
number
is
4.
outrageous. This is 3 gerrymandered questions so far, folks. I hope you're listening.
Where was Guy Fawkes born?
Guy Fawkes was born in Yorkshire.
Can you be more specific? I'll give you half a point for that.
No, Cathy in Yorkshire. Yes.
I'll give you another chance because I'm feeling sorry for you.
No, you shouldn't feel sorry for me. York.
I mean, have you done
he was
his
born in
research?
York. He was born in York.
Correct.
Powers of observation.
You can't say. No, you can't say. I can't say that I didn't give you 3 chances there.
That's the first proper question.
1 out of 4. Yeah, but you got it wrong though.
I didn't. I got it right. I said Yorkshire, and Cathy is a little village outside York where he was born.
Question number 5.
Stick that in your pipe.
Actually, he was born in Stonegate, York.
No.
Question number 5.
Yes.
What was the name of the film which ended with everyone wearing Guy Fawkes masks?
What?
What was the name of the film which ended
What's
with everyone
that got to do
wearing
about
Guy
the gunpowder
Fawkes
plot?
Well, you know those masks that everybody was wearing last night on the street? There's a movie where everybody in the film ends up wearing one of those masks.
This is a movie question. This is not a Guy Fawkes question.
It's a Guy Fawkes mask.
A Guy Fawkes mask?
Yeah.
Well, I was. That means that you want me to review my knowledge of Hollywood movies.
Well, you should know the film.
But this is not a Hollywood movie question.
It's a very famous film.
Very famous film?
Yeah. I can't give you any more clues. I've given you too many.
Is it an old film or a new film?
I'm not giving you any more clues. They're all wearing Guy Fawkes masks.
And it ends? Well, that was probably the Thomas Crown affair.
Are you like a crazy person?
What's your problem?
They all wore bowler hats at the end of that.
So what's the answer then?
V for Vendetta.
I've never heard of the film.
That doesn't surprise me.
Who was in that film?
Well, there's Natalie Portman for a start.
I've never heard of Natalie Portman.
Guy Pearce, you ever heard of him?
Who?
LA Confidential.
No, rubbish.
Stephen Fry was in
Another
it.
rubbish question. I hope you're listening out there, folks.
1
I
out
hope
of
you're
5.
noting these are not proper questions. They're gerrymandered. It's a disgrace. The only decent question on Guido Fawkes, the conspirator, the only decent question, the proper question I got right.
You actually admitted that there were 11 conspirators and Guy Fawkes.
That's
so the
right.
answer was 12.
No, it wasn't. It was 11.
Idiot.
Because when you said conspirators,
Question number 6.
I didn't think you were including Guy Fawkes.
Because everybody doesn't think Guy Fawkes was a conspirator. That's why he was hanged, drawn and quartered, right?
The conspirators were the people who told him to get in there and sit there with the fuse to light the gunpowder. So I got that right. That's
1
at
out
least
of 5.
two. At least two.
Question number 6. What was the name of the pub in the Strand where the first meeting of the conspirators took place?
Yes. The pub in the Strand. It was something like the Crown and Kettle. Just thinking aloud, hang on. Or it could have been... It began with C and K, I think. I think it was the Crown and Kettle, or it could have been the Crown. The Crown! It was the Crown.
Are you like a crazy person?
It was called the Duck and Drake. Question number 7. Which battle was Guy Fawkes injured in?
He was injured in a battle in Spain. We went over there because he converted to Catholicism when he was just 14 because his mother married a second husband after his father died when he was little, and his stepfather talked him into Catholicism. So he went to Spain in the War of Territorial Oppression in 1598, and that's where he was wounded.
Incorrect.
Are you like a crazy person?
He was injured in the Battle of Newport, which is actually in Flanders, in Belgium.
Yeah, I said that.
In the 80 Years' War. You said he was in Spain.
I said the 80 Years' War.
No,
that covered Spain and Flanders and Belgium.
War or Spain. That's nothing out of 1. So, 1 out of 7. Number 8. How did the conspirators gain access to the Houses of Parliament?
I've told you this already. They buried through the wall of the basement of the house next door, which they bought as cover.
Incorrect.
No, it's not incorrect.
It is.
That is correct.
Like a crazy person?
They hired the cellar. They actually hired the cellar.
Yes, I know that.
They didn't burrow into it.
They
hired it.
They burrowed into it.
No, they hired it.
They hired it. But look, hang on. This is the answer. They hired it, but they couldn't take the gunpowder in through the front, so they owned the cellar. But to get the gunpowder
that wasn't the question.
They bought the house next door.
I didn't ask you how they got the gunpowder in.
Burrowed through the adjoining wall.
I didn't ask you how they got the gunpowder in.
What did you ask me?
I asked you how they got access to the Houses of Parliament.
Yeah,
they
with the gunpowder that blew up the Houses of Parliament. Another gerrymandered question. I hope you're listening out there.
1 out of 8.
I hope you're listening.
Question number 9. What name did Fawkes give when he was first interrogated by members of the King's Privy Chamber?
John Johnson.
Correct.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank you.
Very impressive. 2 out of 9. So you could actually make 3 out of 10, which was my prediction. Why did the plot fail? Question number 10.
The plot failed because a agent provocateur came across the conspiracy overseas in either France or Belgium and sent a note to the King's agent in London, and the King, who of course was James I, ordered the cellars to be searched.
That's not bad, actually.
Thank you.
Can you give me the name of the person who got the letter?
To serve you well.
Well, it was the King's agent, and nobody's quite sure exactly which one of the King's agents got it.
No. It was Lord Monteagle.
Lord Monteagle was the name.
Who got sent a letter warning him to stay away from Parliament.
Absolutely.
I'll give you half a point for that.
No, I'm getting a full point for that.
Well done.
No.
Well done. I'll give you 2.5 out of 10.
No, 3 at least. Should be 4, maybe 5.
No, I'll give you 2.5 out of 10, which is slightly less well than I thought you would do. That was.
I hope you're listening, folks.
Well, I hope they're listening as well.
Hope you're listening out there.
That's
the gerrymandery
of the radio show. Gerrymandery. 2.5 out of 10 for Porky. Much better than last week. This is Talk Sport.
The Form Zone on Talk Sport with Betfair. This is Play. Listen to Talk Sport throughout the weekend for Betfair's experts' essential guide to all the latest form and odds as all the big teams face off. Everything you need to keep ahead of the game and make sure you know where the smart money is this weekend. Enter the Form Zone every weekend on TalkSport with Betfair, where you can cash out in play on single or accumulator bets, so you can take your winnings before the end of the match. Selected markets, conditions apply.
An exhilarating drive is a given in the new BMW 320d ED+. But if you drive a company car, you might ask, what else is a given? First, there's exceptional fuel consumption from BMW Efficient Dynamics. Then there are CO2 emissions as low as 99 grams per kilometre, so you pay less benefit-in-kind tax. And there's more. BMW Business Navigation is now included as standard. Thrilling on the road, outstanding at the fuel pump. Request a test drive at your local BMW centre. Figures may vary depending on driving style and conditions.
Race of Champions is back. A two-day motorsport spectacular inside the former London Olympic Stadium. Vettel, Lorenzo, Ricciardo, Coulthard, Massa, and many of the world's greatest racing head-to-head in awesome cars. Stunts, world records, plus entertainment with Chris Hoy, Ben Ainsley, and others in the Celebrity Challenge. The only place on Earth where stars of Formula One, Rally, MotoGP, Le Mans, IndyCar battle each other. Friday and Saturday, 20th, 21st of November. Tickets from £24 at ticketmaster.co.uk.
This is Private Neil Patel getting out of a helicopter on an overseas training exercise. He's also doing an IT apprenticeship. This is Private Julia Dean on a live firing exercise. She's also completing an apprenticeship in engineering. With an army apprenticeship, you get paid to be a soldier while learning practical skills. The Army is the largest provider of apprenticeships in the UK. With thousands of jobs available now, there's more than one way to be the best. Apply now. Search Army Jobs.
Talk Sport.
Licensed for radio.
Ultimate Game Radio.
Fabulous shot.
On DAB, digital radio and 1089 and 1053 AM.
Whoa, I've seen fire.
This is Talk Sport. We are the two mics. Of course, the quiz questions have set off quite a few tweets, as you might expect.
Yes.
Here's one from Ian, who says, "Ding dong, taxi for the man of rich people."
Mm-hmm.
Here's one from Crazy Politics in the US.
Yes.
And he says, actually, V for Vendetta is pretty huge in the new Guy Fawkes movement, with Anonymous and everything. You know, that's what the masks they were all wearing when they were out on the streets last
really?
night. And Anonymous and everything else. Danny says, although I think he's a fool, I have to agree with Porky about the tenuous nature of some of these questions.
Exactly.
I don't agree with that.
Exactly.
And Roy says, I've never heard such waffling, whining and bluster when he gets one wrong. Bamba Gascoigne wouldn't put up with it.
Well, it's not waffle. I'm just demanding justice. You know, I get the questions right. And old MG here, you know, the rotund one, tells me they're wrong. And I get a bit fed up of having to go through that all the time.
Someone who calls himself Toffee Nose Git says, Porky should read his tweets. I warned him about a V for Vendetta question yesterday.
Did he?
So he should, I mean, some of these guys are trying to help you out.
Yeah, well, I'm really sorry about that. Thank you very much for trying to
Bill
assist
says,
me.
we are listening, Porky. You have the historical memory of a gnat.
Oh, really? Yeah. Well, that's very nice, isn't it? Listen, talking about memory, how many times have I said to you I'm smarter than the average bear?
You say it at least once a show, I would say.
Yeah, once a show. And can I tell you why I think that I'm onto something here?
Why?
Because in the Yellowstone National Park, you and I know quite a lot about.
I've been to Yellowstone.
Yeah, I think I have as well.
Have you? What do you think you have?
Well, I was in California once. It's up there.
Well, you wouldn't have been to Yellowstone. It's in Wyoming.
Yeah, but it goes over 3 or 4 states, doesn't it?
No.
I think it does.
No,
I think it spreads over. Anyway, point is, the old grizzlies there were nearly extinct, OK?
Yeah.
I was reading in one of my geographical magazines.
Well, they come back from extinction then, like that butterfly.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. They were down to 136 grizzlies in the Yellowstone ecosystem.
Oh, yeah.
And it does go across Wyoming, Montana and Idaho, OK?
I don't think so.
Yeah, they do. And anyway, in the most recent sort of survey they've done in the Yellowstone region, there are now 750.
Oh, that's good.
750.
Is that because they protected them better then?
What happened is hunters, ranchers and conservationists had a big row about, you know, how they could leave the bears alone, but at the same time pursue hunting and all that. Yeah. They came to an agreement that they wouldn't shoot bears under a certain age. So they could sort of, you know...
So it's because the people have stopped shooting them that they've actually managed to grow into something reasonable.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's good, isn't it?
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's very
I'm
good,
glad to hear it.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Because I've got something here which was tweeted in actually a little bit earlier by complete coincidence by Kevin, who was referring to the fact that you do say you're somehow smarter than the average bear.
Yes, I do, yes.
There's a guy called Ben Killam, who apparently is... Ben Killam, which doesn't mean he kills them.
Yeah.
He's a biologist in British Columbia. He's been studying bears for 20 years.
Really?
He estimates, and he says that this is in a new study that he's put out, that basically bears have the intelligence comparable to that of great apes. And he's saying that actually bears are quite smart creatures. So for you to be smarter than the average bear means you have to be very smart.
Well, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
They're saying at least as intelligent as a chimpanzee and about the same level as a 3-year-old human.
A 3-year-old human? Well, a 3-year-old human's not that intelligent, is it?
3-year-old humans are very intelligent.
3-year-old human can't work much out.
No, they can. I mean, they're
rubbish.
like sponges. I've told you this before. I went to a school where this guy was hot-housing kids from the age of 18 months. You teach them to play the violin, teach them to speak Japanese, teach them to do very kind of, complicated mathematical equations. You could teach a 3-year-old almost anything. You can teach a 3-year-old to do anything. You can teach a 3-year-old to drive a car. If they could physically, reach the pedals and do all the things that needed to be done.
Not sure about that.
It's true.
Listen, I'll tell you what I want to talk to you about. In one of my lifestyle magazines, right?
Yellowstone National Park is in Wyoming, by the way.
Yeah, I know that.
It's not anywhere else.
I know that.
Well, you said it was over 3 states.
No. The ecological area where the bears roam.
Oh, okay.
Right. It includes those other states.
Okay.
Now, people like me, I think you would agree, I have great creativity, right?
You do have creativity. Yeah, I'll give you that.
Yeah, good.
I'll give you that.
And there's a ridiculous report come out which backs up something you're always accusing me of. It says that creative people are very dishonest.
Yeah, well, you're certainly dishonest.
No, I mean, I think it's disgusting.
I think you'd agree to that, wouldn't you?
It says being labelled creative can make a person dishonest. Those who believe they have a rare talent for creativity develop a sense of entitlement.
That's true.
Which leads to an unethical behaviour such as lying.
Yes.
Psychologists...
I can see it all now.
Psychologists at Syracuse... We know where Syracuse is.
Syracuse.
Yeah, that's right. There's a racetrack there, isn't there? I've been to that.
There is, yeah.
I've been to that
horse racing,
yeah. I went there, believe it or not, with Brian Vine.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, right. He had a horse at one point, didn't he?
He did, yeah.
Well, part of a horse.
Didn't have a horse running that day, but he was big there, you know what I mean? Went up there and... how far is it north of New York?
It's up towards Buffalo. It's kind of, it's up the north of New York State, up to the Canadian border. It's quite a long way. I mean, it's a couple of hours in a plane.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. We didn't go on a plane. I thought we went on a train or something.
You could have gone on the train.
Yeah. Anyway, so these psychologists, Syracuse University, say 153 students were given problem-solving tasks, okay?
Yeah.
And then some were sent a message saying they'd done very well and that creativity is rare, while others were told creativity is common.
Right.
They then did another test in which they could claim money by lying to another participant. The first group were twice as likely to lie.
Yeah. I agree with that sort of sentiment because you can tell that certain people think they can get away with things in life and they use a variety of different excuses.
So what it means is those who were told creativity is rare thought they were like on the border of genius, you see what I mean?
Yeah.
And that they then were entitled to go around stealing money and stuff because they were special people.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a pretty damning survey, isn't it?
Do you not think, though, that the root of dishonesty is based on, what your kind of character is really rather more, for example, if there might be some people, if you said to them, you've got a special talent, because a lot of schools now, they go around telling everyone they've got a special talent for something. They just have to find out what it is. And not all of them become dishonest, and not all of them steal or lie or cheat.
I've got this theory in life.
I think cheats and liars and people who steal are, generally speaking, kind of always going to be that way, no matter what they are.
Always be which way?
Well, I think they were kind of, either brought up that way.
Sense of entitlement.
Well, not necessarily sense of entitlement. I just think the laws don't apply to them.
Do you remember we had a conversation the other day about a guy called Darius Guppy?
Yes.
Now, he was an old Etonian, came from a very privileged background, went to school with Boris Johnson.
That's right.
At Eton.
Yeah, and Diana's brother, right?
And Diana's brother, Lord...
Spencer.
Right, yeah, absolutely right. Ended up in jail in America, didn't he, as a fraudster?
I think he ended up in jail back here, actually.
Well, he was certainly...
the crime was committed in New York.
That's right.
Because it was an insurance fraud.
Insurance fraud about stolen jewellery and all that kind of stuff.
Claimed that they'd been attacked at the Halloran House Hotel, I think it was, in New York City.
That's right, yeah.
And reported themselves to the police, had all his jewellery nicked, got back, and it was found to be a bit of an insurance job.
He wasn't very good, because they found the jewellery in the room where he claimed it had been stolen.
Yeah, that's right.
He hadn't hidden it properly in the wardrobe.
But you see, there are certain people, say, like him, and not everybody who's come from a privileged background is like this, who had an entitlement because he was rich. He thought he could get away with anything.
He thought, with a plum in his mouth type accent as an Englishman in New York, the cops would treat him very deferentially
but this is
and
my
believe
point.
anything he said.
This is my point. I mean, they may be right about their study of creative people, but I think people who are dishonest as a general rule have, for whatever reason, decided they're just going to be dishonest.
Yeah,
Some people don't think the rules apply to them. I mean, a lot of journalists are journalists because of that, because they don't like rules. And I mean, it's different now because the rules are very much more strict than they were when you and and I were doing it. But a lot of the reason why people were attracted to journalism was because you could stick two fingers up to the rules and do whatever you wanted.
Absolutely right. And the little side story to Darius Guppy was that when he got upset by something a journalist had once written about him, he rang up his old mate Boris Johnson, didn't he, who had access to the journalist's home address, and asked Mr Johnson to supply him with the address so he could send a couple of people around to beat up the journalist. Yeah. And, of course, Mr Johnson wanted nothing to do with it.
Of course.
But the genius thing, right, I believe that within us all there could be a genius, but you have difficulty finding it. So, for instance...
Yeah, we have a great difficulty finding it in your case.
No, for instance, right, I have never... What have I never done? I have never sat at a piano and tried to play a piano.
Haven't you?
How do you know? How do you know that if I did, I might be, the next Mantovani? You know what I mean?
I think, the next Mantovani. Well, I think because if you'd wanted to play the piano, I think you'd have had some kind of inbuilt urge to do it.
Sure.
But you've never played any musical instrument, right?
I had to go at the violin. I had some violin lessons.
Did you?
Yeah.
Were you any good at that?
Well, you need to do a lot of work on a violin.
Yeah, I was very good at that. But I couldn't play piano to save my life.
Yeah. Now,
my kids are getting piano lessons now, and they're really liking it.
Oh, right, OK. That's good. Now, if you sat in a Formula 1 racing car and somebody said, go around that track as fast as you can, you might be a genius. You might do it faster than anybody else on Earth.
Well, that depends. There's the argument there about, your aptitude for something like that, which Lewis Hamilton obviously has. But also, you have to put in a lot of hard work.
Yeah, of course you do. But you see, John Lennon once told his Aunt Mimi, don't throw away my drawings. One of these days they'll be worth an awful lot of money, Aunt Mimi, And he said from an early age, he told people at his art college...
He was an objectionable man, though, wasn't he?
He said at an early age, he said, I know I'm a genius, I just don't know what I'm a genius at yet. Yeah. But I'll find out soon.
He was always as obnoxious as you.
He wasn't... he was different, for sure. Yeah. He was quite cruel, actually, sometimes to people. Yeah. He said some terrible things about his manager, Brian Epstein, and Brian was a very sensitive
he said some terrible
soul.
things to his first wife, Cynthia.
Oh, it was shocking.
Treated her in a terrible way.
I've read the book. It was called A Slice of Lennon. Yeah. Right? And she detailed the way their marriage broke down when she arrived home once to their house in Weybridge in Surrey, walked into the kitchen and found Yoko Ono sitting in her dressing gown. Yeah. And John Lennon turned round at the sink and said, "Oh, are you, Sin?" And that was it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know. Shocking.
Yeah, shocking.
Awful.
Shocking.
Anyway,
shocking behaviour. The sort of thing you do, actually.
Not the sort of thing I would do at all. Thank you very much indeed, Mr. Parry. Enjoy
Uncaring
yourself.
thug.
Enjoy yourself at the West Ham game.
Yes, I will, because you won't be there, so that'll be nice.
Don't get too out of control. We'll be looking for reports from anyone who's at the West Ham game. If you see Porky there, don't forget to tell us. We'll be back on Monday night, of course, with another edition of Winners and Losers. We've got one more week to go until the Birmingham show as well. Follow us at the Two Mics on Twitter and look for us on the twomics.co.uk.
Tickets still for sale.
Tickets still for
Birmingham
sale.
Rep, a week tomorrow night. See you there.
Week tonight, isn't it?
A week tonight, that's right. Yeah, sorry, don't go a week tomorrow night. It'll be empty.
If you love the Two Mics podcast, you'll love the live show. Weekday overnights from 1am on DAB Digital Radio and 1089 and 1053 AM and via the TalkSport app. TalkSport, your Premier League station with exclusive commentaries every weekend.
What an absolute corker!
TalkSport.
It would be easy to put poison in a Bounty bar because it's already wet.
Look at the light!